let's talk about our bans. And it's a good thing you ended on here, Demo. Let's turn to you, Ollie. We bring them up. A reminder for everybody, there are 7 maps in our pool here. 4 will be eliminated and left with 3 at the end. Ollie, take it away.
We're going to see Bank and Club removed straight off the rip. Bank, not too much of a surprise there for MNM. Clubhouse, ever the 50-50. It does leave Oregon available, so maybe that's something that we will get on into. In terms of map pool for MNM, there's a couple that you really want to be sort of looking out for, that they are sort of well known for playing, but they have got a sort of habit of keeping maps aside. Obviously, they've been through some very big competitions recently, namely Challenger League, and to be able to hold a map in Challenger League is quite important. But it of course does mean that they've played it quite some time. So Oregon is going to come in there as the first pick, followed swiftly by a Kafe.
A little bit surprised to see Oregon being first pick and not Chalet. I thought Chalet, seeing that being let through by SANDBOX, that was going to be a straight pick for MNM, but no, not going to be the circumstance. I mean, interesting about the first 2 bans. We've seen Bank get banned straight away. SANDBOX, they beat NIP on that map yesterday, and Clubhouse, that's the map that SANDBOX lost against NIP. So overall, good bans, I think, for both sides. And then there's the Cider. Chalet doesn't even make it into the second phase of the ban. Oh, I don't know. I think that Chalet's really changed it for MNM.
Why?
Because they don't lose it. I don't know what it is about Chalet. There is moments on Chalet, Ollie, where you think they're done. That's them. They lost it. There's been a lot of times over Challenger League where it went to overtime and things were not looking good for them. MNM on Chalet, they don't know how to lose it. That's it.
I think that MNM will be fairly surprised that that's been let through. Yeah. Chalet is all but a perma ban for SANDBOX. They've banned it 28 times through Stage 3, Sweden Major recently, so you're not going back too far to find out 28 bans on Chalet.
Maybe they'll learn a thing or two from Demon Kia.
Maybe.
Perhaps. It's not unusual. I mean, LATAM teams do it all the time where they scrim together in preparation. They see themselves as a cohesive unit.
It's a long time to hold a map, though.
True.
It's a really long, especially against a side like MNM that are just so good at it.
But is this not the best time then to show it?
Well, it is.
The world stage, this is the biggest thing these players are playing.
They are saving it for this moment, and I'm really looking forward to it. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. That was our first match about to begin now in the second set of this day. How about we take a quick wrap-up as we got to sit down and have a chat with our players in our next game, NIP v Empire.
Thank you very much to Milos and the guys on the desk. Yes, we are coming into a massive game here, and finally, the UK Massive get to cast a MNM game. Now, I do want to start on something here that you guys really should be aware of. Yes, we have cast MNM ever since the start of their journey, from all the way back in UKIN through to Challenger League, up into EUL, and I wish to assure all of you at home there is going to be no bias in this cast. We are absolutely neutral from start to finish. Tim, nice jersey. Really like that, mate.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. Got your name on it as well.
Oh, yeah. For what? I mean, like you say, absolutely no bias. I've got the pose.
Oh, mate, you look ready. I don't know what team might have given in that one for free, but I guarantee you again, no bias coming into this one, right? We're looking forward to this one though, Tim. These map bans are looking saucy from start to finish. That Chalet one, Ollie raised it. SANDBOX, 0 wins, 0 losses, 28 bans for, and 0 bans against. They insta-ban it every single time. So if we get to map 3, we're seeing a first for SANDBOX.
The thing is, coming into yesterday, we thought SANDBOX were going to have a difficult day against NIP. There was ups and downs, let's be honest. It was a little bit of a roller coaster ride. It wasn't all perfect for them, but they came out with an unexpected and great win. So, yep, you look at the maps and you think, I kind of fancy MNM with those maps. You've got the Oregon, you've got the Chalet, like you say. Kafe's another good map for MNM, although we know I'm still going to give a very solid edge to SANDBOX on Kafe because they are unbeaten on there. They really showed us fantastic
This is the best thing.
This is the thing, but MNM just sort of less unbeaten than SANDBOX.
At this point, it's like you both got a perfect state of affairs on Kafe, but you've got a more perfect state of affairs because SANDBOX are 9-0 on it, MNM are 4-0 on it. Someone is going to have their win streak broken on Kafe when we get into map 2, but first and foremost, we're starting things off on Oregon. Most of you side with MNM here, even despite seeing
close though,
it's SANDBOX yesterday, but it is about that 60-40 split. This is a big game for MNM. It is their opening game. They got to watch these teams play yesterday. They have an idea of what they're coming in for, especially on Kafe. So let's see how the bans kick off. First and foremost, it's going to be Flores coming out from SANDBOX.
Strong start. Just taking away the man with the Rotero drones, as we know, how powerful he can be, not only for throwing utility, but the soft destruction as well. Bit of a target ban coming in on the Zofia.
Yep, against Shyle, the go-to Zofia player on this team. Fun fact for those of you who don't watch too much APAC North, last year a team did ban Zofia away from Shyle. He picked Blackbeard, he got 9 kills in 3 rounds, and from that point on, team said, yeah, have Zofia back. We don't want to deal with that Blackbeard anymore. And we did see a bit of Blackbeard coming out yesterday from one of the teams. I forget who it was, but infuriating.
Shiro on BDS.
There you go. And Shiro on BDS, and did evade a couple of headshots, so no complaints there. Last 2 bans, the Wamai coming through has returned to being quite a popular ban so far here at SI 2022. And Valkyrie also going to follow through. No big surprise. She has been banned in, I would wager, at least 75% of our matchups so far.
And will continue to be so. You know, we know how powerful she is. We don't need to keep labouring on that point, but you will still see those bans raining in. So we are going to get into it. This is one of the games that I looked towards when we started. You know, all jokes aside, as we've said, MNM are a team that we have seen. They're an organisation particularly that we've seen, you know, from basically formation through to this point. You know, this is the story for Siege. This is getting into your national leagues. When we talk about it on EUL, you know, go and play those qualifiers, get into your national leagues. If you want to be on that Six Invitational stage, MNM are proof of exactly that. But let's not overlook SANDBOX either. I want to give them, you know, jokes aside, with all the respect that SANDBOX are due, because they are one of the top teams in the APAC region. There is no two ways about it. It's been a little bit of a tumultuous year for them, but it really feels like the ship has steadied. I said yesterday that I was a little bit concerned. I didn't know where their edge was. You know, I didn't know where that sort of sharp point was going to be, but they showed us that they had plenty of heart, plenty of ability to keep themselves in that NIP matchup yesterday. And MNM, they're going to have a trial by fire here. If they want to start their invitational journey off with a win, they are going to have to fight tooth and nail for it against this SANDBOX side. And even then, it might not be enough.
Absolutely. It wasn't for NIP yesterday, so let's see how MNM shape up. Arguably, coming into the competition, 2 of the lower expectation teams. Everyone's talking about bigger names, but here comes Tyrant, the entry demon himself. Him and Solotov are the 2 players you're looking to be picking up a number of entries. Yuzu's often the one that tops the KD chart, so if you aren't familiar with these players, trust me, by the end of the series, you'll start having a pretty good idea. For the majority of the team, as you can see, they've got a bit of a setup coming out towards the east side. Solotov doing some work out on those Twitch drones. You've got Neo out there with Diffuser in hand, so you can see that Gaines Wall is likely going to be where they try and step things up, but it's Harper to strike first. Down goes Yuzu's early in the round. The extended hold from Static and Harper out towards the west, coming up big. Big
loss for MNM. We know Yuzus has got serious capability when it comes to picking kills up, but so does Solotov. Comes in with a big headshot onto Envy Taylor just to level things up, 4-4. MNM getting moving now, finding that kill onto Harper. Strays into no man's land a little bit at the bottom of White Stairs there. Gets picked up from the window, and it's going to be Nello who manages to finish him off with the nade, and that now gives MNM a little bit of an advantage. Solotov working towards, and there's definitely going to be some pressure mounting up the White Stairs, I would expect.
Static's lurking inside a garage here as well. They've got to be super careful about what he might achieve, because if he can hit them on the flank once they're trying to set up for these hatches or moving in towards meeting, it's going to sting. And fair enough, why would you drone inside there? You might assume that you as a player would get caught moving back across this point. He can play massive spoiler if they aren't too careful, but Armory Stairs is where they're starting to work their way up, so it depends on when he wants to start making his move.
And as you say, it could be deadly. That is one that we're going to just keep an eye on with bated breath at the minute. MNM still making good progress. I wouldn't expect to see Static move until maybe the 30-second mark or below. He really doesn't want to give MNM any opportunity for that rotation that will take them away. Now then, what a peek from Shyle! Sits Solotov down inside a trophy there, and here goes Static. We're going to find out exactly how much MNM know. There's one on the flank, but not on the watch. Tyrant shut down by Static. SANDBOX go big in the late round. There's 35 seconds left to go, and the man advantage has been flipped from one side to the other. SANDBOX now 3 versus 2. It's all down to Neo and Nello. They've got to try and play their way into sight somehow, but Nello's not even inside of the map yet. Time is going to be a serious factor here for MNM as they try to push on through this SANDBOX defense.
It's all about this trophy door. That's where the 2 members are trying to come in. Nova's moved down in towards game. May look for a swing here, or just holds it tight. sight, but Neo has got to force his way through. Steps in, looking for the gunfights, gets sandwiched in from both sides, and Shile takes a big 2K. MNM just being shown what these APAC teams are capable of with a brilliant flank coming out of Static to shut down the mid-round attack.
Welcome to Big School. You're on the big stage now, and if you leave players undroned, if you give them opportunities, they will hurt you. But I think what SANDBOX have just taught MNM there is it's not just about the mistakes, it's about the things that sometimes you just can't do anything about. That Shile peak onto Solotov was just, it's unplayable. You can't do anything against skill and ability like that.
Maybe a little bit on the side of MNM there as well. You know that wall's left soft. There's a good chance it's being left soft because someone is going to be sat behind a shield, just wandering around inside a pit. Yesterday we saw a few teams set up where they had a shield inside a pit and it was looking to support a trophy-based player. So exposing yourself by that couple of pixel angle, maybe not quite the strongest play to get yourself control of those armory stairs, but small mistakes and things no doubt that will be learned from the further this game goes on. We now head down into the basement. Mira being brought along by Harper, and we know just how oppressive Mira can be on sites like this. Get yourself a one inside a cubby, for example, and it can be an absolute nightmare. One on Freezer stops you comfortably pushing down there. So MNM are going to have to focus on dealing with those before they start thinking about where the push comes in. Either that or they put all of their focus on a north side take. It's an old sort of strat. I wouldn't say old, it's still used by some regions, but you do see more focus these days on laundry and supply. So, well, laundry and freezer, sorry. So hopefully we see them adapt to that, deal with that meeting hatch and look to go for a north side push.
Well, this is it. Normally on this, we say there's an opportunity here for attacking from 4 sides at once, or 3 if you don't want to stretch yourself too thin.
The LATAM attack.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so difficult to defend against because it just keeps turning those defenders' attention to different directions. But like you say, those mirror windows potentially are a great stopper when you think about how do we defend against that multi-angle attack, because like you say, it's going to make it really unpopular to go anywhere near laundry and freezer. But as it is, MNM working from the west side clearance, so potentially going to apply some pressure to freezer. But first of all, they need to clear Static, and users will. Great headshot from the man, just finding him behind the kitchen cabinet, sitting him down and getting the advantage this time for MNM.
Oh dear, now they know that Shile sat inside a meeting as well. Of course, can't drop through the hatch, so it's going to be a north tower retreat for him. Has to be mindful of users pushing into kitchen. I thought he might go back down to site, but clearly they feel they can get more done here. But every time he steps forward, there's a drone there just lurking and waiting, giving information of what Shile is trying to do. And oh my God! Tyrant living up to the name. What a shot through the soft wall. And Shile punished for his overstay up on the ground floor.
Absolutely disgusting stuff there. You love to see it. Tyrant just doubling down on that MNM advantage. And now SANDBOX, there's nothing they can do, Des, other than haul up inside a site. Envy Taylor takes a drone out on its way to Freezer. So that maybe just gives a little indication of where the pressure's going to come from. That hatch is going to be open from security into Freezer just to ensure they can start working down. But there is that mirror window that they need to deal with. You can see the ping bottom left of your screen just showing that that is something that MNM are identifying. This is going to be an obstacle for us. Now Nello working on that meeting hatch as well. 1 minute 15 left to go. Plenty of time for MNM here.
Nello's got to be really careful with this hatch as well. They need to get it open up. Sees the man, gets the shots in onto Harper. A few are exchanged back, but they were just aware of what's going on. Again, I'll give it to MNM. Their drone play has been phenomenal so far. No one coming up on the flank for them just yet. 4 members all congregating inside of meeting. And again, you're looking for that north side take that I was talking about that mainly works around those mirror windows and doesn't want to face off against them.
Just feeling like MNM have just stalled out a little bit here, as you say, working around that meeting hatch, not really gaining any ground from it. They've got Nova holding down the rear stage stairs, and MNM need to make a solid decision here of where this push is going to come from. We've got somebody just rotating to bunker now. That's a big challenge though. Nova just maybe overstepping there in that 3v5 situation. He gives them the opportunity to find the kill, and they do not miss. Now then, Envy Taylor from Pillars trying to challenge that hatch drop. Harper manages to find a nitro, but you just feel like the pressure is mounting here for SANDBOX. Out goes another nitro and finds another kill. Somehow it's 2v2 days, but Harper is shut down by Solotov. 2v1, it's all up to Envy Taylor. We know that this man has got the capability. Diffuser going down, he nearly finds one but can't confirm. He's got to kill a second, the time is running down. Users
he's got it!
It has to be the 1v2 clock of Envy Taylor. SANDBOX will not be beaten.
incredible round back to front as well, because MNM again, I'll give it to them. Their drone work was sublime. If you want to go back and see how to drone out a map of Oregon, that was it. Every time Shyle, whoever it was, I forget in kitchen, I think it was Shyle inside a kitchen. No, it wasn't Shyle. Who was it in kitchen? Static and then Shyle, the two S players. They were droned out multiple times by MNM and shut down into a beautiful 5 versus 3. They put pressure onto MB Taylor at the top side of highway to force him back with drones. It was beautiful. Everything was done to the letter, but there's one thing you cannot ignore, and I say this probably every broadcast at least once: Siege is an FPS game. If you do not win your gunfights, you will lose rounds no matter how perfectly you might play it, and MNM have just been shown that. Textbook droning and then shut down by 2 players in a 5 versus 2.
It's a beautiful play by SANDBOX. That was, really a masterclass in how do you deal with the 3v5 situation.
Absolutely.
They just dropped it back. Let's not focus anywhere other than sight. Let's just really lock down those angles. Let's identify where those pushes are coming from. And I have to say, I think the mirror windows were pivotal there, because it stopped the push into freezer. We saw that MNM identified it. It was like you could see the moment that they were opening the hatch into freezer, and then it was like, there's a mirror window there. No, we're not going to push this. Let's rotate. Let's go rear side. And it just played into the hands of SANDBOX. Great defending from the APAC side.
Absolutely beautiful. So now you're starting to see how things are setting up on the attack for MNM again. Their attacks are looking good. They're looking structured. They're looking well thought out. Stalling a little bit time-wise into those last 60 seconds, and SANDBOX are saying, okay, look, we are pushing our luck. We are trying to go for these kills on the roam. And even if they aren't finding the kills, they're still achieving the primary purpose of a roam, which is ultimately to waste time. And it doesn't mean immediate time waste. It can be drawing frag grenades now so they can't use them later. It can be drawing out drones so they have to get a player who's the other side of the map to feed info. But Tyrant with another wonderful kill, this time onto Static. Last time it was through the soft wall inside a meeting. Here it's a well-placed grenade onto the feet of the Aruni.
Absolutely fantastic nade there, just taking out that entry once again. Static losing his life first in the last 2 rounds. Not helping SANDBOX in the man count terms, but one way or another, they seem to be able to find their way to get the rounds over the line. You just feel like MNM need a round here, Des. They need something to get them going, because at the minute, they don't want to be getting too far behind on Oregon. It is their map choice. It's somewhere we expect them to play well, and going into Kafe against an unbeaten SANDBOX side is not going to be an easy thing to do if you're already 1 map down.
Yes, they've got a little 3-man squad here coming in towards Trophy and Master side, looking to attack here in towards Attic, as well as in towards MB Taylor, who's hovering around inside of Kids. The Twitch drones going in, they're getting pit opened up so they can see Charles, who is now backed away to the window inside Big Tower. So their hit squad is trying to clear out the roamers, but as we said a couple of times, the time isn't working for MNM here. SANDBOX are just playing it very well, dancing in shadows just around the edge of the vision of MNM and keeping them guessing. It's Solotov on the push in, looking for the 1-man. They must know roughly where he is here. Can they see a shadow? No, they can't see the head, and he wins the gunfight onto MB Taylor. It's another big numbers advantage for MNM. It's a 5 versus 3 this time rather than a 5 versus 2. It doesn't stop me feeling nervous at this point in the round though, Tim.
They've gained the vertical though, that is important, attacking onto Kitchen and Meeting. It's going to, as you can see, SANDBOX now basically giving up Kitchen. They've all stepped aside. Nova's moved himself to play down into security. The rest are just sort of staying around the periphery. They're on the fringe of the centre of the site there because they just don't want to open themselves up to the verticals. They're much safer in Meeting, but they do still need to concern themselves with Attic. Now, Tyrant, he's just been holding the angle on that security door. I think he's just trying to prevent Nova coming out for the time being. The drone goes in, so they know he's there. Users able to use that information to get the vertical kill. 5v2. MNM starting to pile on.
It's the 5 versus 2 again. They need to close this out because Charles has been lurking up towards the north side for the longest time. He's finally back on Kitchen, and down goes Harper. Tries to juice himself back up. It's not going to happen. Charles has got to do it all. He's coming on the flank, and Solotov might be the one that he starts to run into any second now. It's Tyrant at the bottom. Will find one. Looks for the second, but Nello gets the shutout. Much better for MNM this time, converting their gunfights into a round win.
It's exactly what they needed on that third choice site. They couldn't have SANDBOX coming in there and getting themselves a complete defensive rotation. This is MNM's map choice. They need to come in here with a strong opener and send a little bit of a message to the APAC side, but they are certainly up against it today because SANDBOX not only are hitting shots, but they just seem to be playing everything right at this point in time. But MNM, a lot of positive to take from that last round. Nice entries, good control, got that top floor vertical, and just really used it.
That has run through both round 2 and 3. Round 1, I think, was still getting your feel into the game in a sense, but round 2 and round 3 especially, again, excellent droning, excellent clear of the map, good map control in general, great use of the verticals. They're doing it all by the book, which is great. If SANDBOX pulled them into a game of rank 2.0, you know, taking multiple gunfights, hitting them on the flank, for example, then a lot of that can go out the window, but so far holding very good structure. Now in round 3, we go back up into kids and dorms again, so we'll see how the setup goes in for SANDBOX this time around. I'm looking towards those entries time and time again because Tyrant and Users are pushing really aggressively in the early round, and where normally you might see a Twitch, Solotov in this case being a bit more intel focused, helping the team out. Whenever they do get into a group, it's Solotov that is the first one on the drones, and I think maybe that's trying to deal with gadgetry, you know? Get rid of the ADSs if you see them, any mute jammers in the way, otherwise you're potentially impeding a whole push forwards on the basis of a mute jammer is blocking a single doorway. So it's good to see how that structure's coming together.
Taylor just going to drop himself away from tier 3, a big tower there. He has a little peek out of the window, but as soon as MNM know that he's up there, his game is done and he needs to move away and relocate, otherwise he's going to get himself cut off very, very quickly. Now, similar again to what we saw last time, MNM coming in from this west side, looking for a bit of potential pressure from the bottom of White Stairs. Just let SANDBOX know that there is a presence over that side of the map. They do have roamers to deal with. They've got Harper working underneath, Nitro in hand, so he may well try to play his entire round out here if he can, looking forward to the potential of vertical denial should anybody come in through that double window. But Users, he's stacking up. We've got Static over in the garage once again. Now then, the question is, MNM lost a life to him last time, but probably didn't know where he came from. Look at this, is disgusting from Static. It's disgusting. He's just punching holes in the garage wall. Nobody from MNM seems to be aware. He can see the foot underneath the van, but doesn't quite pick up on it, and just moves away, and MNM get away with one there.
They do, yeah, fortunate. I was going to say for Static, normally he's sat inside kitchen and helping Harper contest. Here he's pulled all the way back to garage early on, so forget about trying to contest Tyrant, for example. He doesn't want to be the first death anymore, so small adaptations in the roam coming out of SANDBOX. This one a little bit more passive and focused on that downstairs denial, a little bit cheeky on that potential peek out, probably acknowledging that it's a trait of MNM or a go-to consistent one where you'll see someone sat on drone for a good 60 seconds. Nello is still sat on it at this point as well. I don't think he's moved, but of course they're not going to find him in this case. One thing I want to stress is we're down to 75 seconds left, so time is not in MNM's favour right now, given they haven't really cleared these roamers out. They're still downstairs, they're still roaming around, and here comes the push. Tyrant finding Harper, Static getting an immediate trade back before Users is there to cover his man. Again, brilliant team play from MNM.
Yes, better dealing with Static this time. He still managed to get his man. It was Tyrant who suffered again, but at least they've learned from that last time. They had somebody in position to then make an impact on that and find that trade. Working towards double window potentially here. Users is down inside a dining. We've got 3 stacked up at least for MNM on that White Stairs side. So the focus is there though. SANDBOX are aware of that. Toxic Babe canister goes out just to slow down any potential push. 30 seconds left to go and 2 Toxic Babe canisters left in hand. This might not be easy for MNM to get themselves inside of the map here for a plant, because it can just be burnt awake, and this time second by second as the Toxic Gas just holds them at bay. Solotov, however, he finds Shaol, and then we have Envy Taylor. How many times are we going to see this? Envy comes in and starts fighting back, but Neo has managed to get himself in to get that plant down. Users finds the kills. It's not necessary, and MNM, they manage to get themselves another, and they level things up. 2-2. Des, we've got a game on our hands.
Don't we always, Tim? Don't we always? And I want to stress again how the numbers are broken down in these rounds. For the last 3 rounds, MNM have either been in a 5 versus 2 or a 4 versus 2. And I'm very conscious again, for Tim and I, we've cast MNM a lot. You might be going, I'm biased towards MNM saying they're doing things so well. It's because they are. They're currently 2-2 on the attacking side of Oregon and are genuinely winning these rounds all the way through. It's just a couple of them have gone awry towards the backside of it. But to have those numbers advantages in rounds, to be that coordinated for Users, for example, then, up White Stairs, smash a hole through into game room. Nova didn't have him covered on the cross to stop him getting in through that angle. Gets in, kills Envy who's coming out of concrete, and then swings around and covers his planter. Really smart play towards the back end of the round. You can see why he's always up there as one of the big fraggers for the team. Currently sat at 5-2. On the other side of things, for SANDBOX, they want to dial things back here and play it a little bit more securely, I think. They've been punished a couple of times getting aggressive on the roam. Static, their go-to entry is now back playing on the Clash, something we saw out of them a few times in APAC North.
We're going to have that set up down on the basement site then. We saw this back in round 2. It was a SANDBOX win. It was a 3v5, and MNM are going to be looking to try and replicate that a little bit, I think. They're going to be looking to keep themselves on top of things in the early round, get that man count up, and just try to make life difficult for SANDBOX. But I'm sure they're going to be very aware, after what they experienced last time, that that's not going to be an easy feat, even in the late round. MVTaylor just getting the last-minute hatches. That's going to be security taken care of. Just might help them try to hold on to Freezer, and it's no surprise to see Harper on that mirror again. It was pivotal last time, and it really shaped the push that MNM went for, and it'll be interesting to see with the Hibana on the side of Neo whether they just try to challenge it a little bit more directly this time so they can go for that Freezer push.
Yeah, I think you saw the yellow pin come out into the meeting hatch back in the previous round as well, where they were like, right, stop, forget about Freezer. Let's just turn our attention up towards meeting instead. So maybe this time there will be that kind of two-sided push. They did last time, mind you, have big tower push. They had construction push out towards the east in blue. They had the drop coming in at the same time. It wasn't like they were only going for one angle. They were dropping 2 or 3 at once and really trying to make a push happen. Just SANDBOX for them, it was a little too readable when they knew there was no pressure coming in from the Freezer side because that hatch had stayed closed.
Tyrant just holding a real skinny angle here in through that Freezer, looking on towards the highway rotate, and if anybody from SANDBOX strays across there, you just know he's going to take his chance. But for the time being, the man is sticking himself in behind that mirror, and SANDBOX well aware that the push is potentially looking at Freezer, and it just feels once again, Des, like MNM are just stalling out a little bit because of those mirror windows.
I would love to see them though with a bit more pacey, you know, start thinking about the drop at about that 45-second mark, bearing in mind there are no roamers. The most you've got to deal with is Static pushing his way up the big tower stairs, but that's about it. Otherwise, you have got full reign of this. Stick a drone on each staircase, watch for any flanks that come up, and put all of your focus into the downstairs execute. That's got to be the play for them here. Let's see them make use of the clock well.
Solotov just trying to push the clash, nearly gets the angle onto the shoulder, around the back of the shield there, but he's just going to keep taking those little static shots from the front of it and can't clear it out at the minute. They just need a little bit of utility to assist. They've got a couple of nades on Tyrant, couple of nades on users, so this can certainly be dealt with so long as they do it on the stairs and stay away from that ADS that's down at pillars. You can see the grenade is being cooked, it will detonate and Static will take some damage, but as of yet not cleared out, still manages to back away, still keeps that big glass wall active.
I'm so impressed by the combo because they had a flash leading ahead of that from Neo to burn the ADS downstairs, so all those frags did go off, but 3 nades later Static still stands on about 25 HP, and this is where the clash comes into her own. There's 30 seconds on the clock, there's 3 smoke canisters, they've got MNM on the ropes here, and they've got to make a big play right now.
Just moving in, Tyrant, he's going to push forward, come face to face with that clash once again. Maverick just trying to open holes, and that's a great opener from Tyrant, finding Shayo, but look at the clock, Des, 15 seconds left to go. MVTaylor once again stepping up with what could be a pivotal kill, finds users just to slow down MNM further. Double nitro from Harper, over the top and hits his shot, finds a third, and SANDBOX closed down the MNM attack that was just left a little bit too late.
There's a real beauty in being able to see where a team's strengths and weaknesses are forming, right? And for MNM, we spoke about the strengths a lot already. That weakness is now proving itself to be the clock, because I said in that last round, they've got no roamers to deal with. There's no Static trying to hit them on the flank. There's no Harper lurking below or above and joining Static out on the roam. They were all on site, and MNM still ground things down to the last 10 seconds or so. I think because the clash was giving them a headache. They were like, well, if we drop now and there's a clash stood right there, it's going to completely spoil our setup, right? They've got all this information being fed. They can peek behind the back of the shield. It's going to do us no favors. So they got sort of sidetracked and did have a really good method to clear it with the 3 frag grenades coming in, but simply couldn't deal with it. And again, they're forgetting Nova still had all 3 canisters in back pocket.
It was down to Static's fancy footwork for me. Static managed to give him the razzle-dazzle down by the pillars, and he just kept dancing around, kept himself away from those nades. He seemed to understand exactly what was coming next. As you say, the flash cleared the ADS fantastically well, but Static had already backed himself up and just kept himself out of the radius that was going to be lethal to him. And like you say, once that clash isn't clear, you're going to be in for a bit of a headache. And it's interesting, Des, obviously the MNM choice to ban out Sophia, one of the biggest direct counters to that clash, just able to move that shield very easily from in front of him. And bringing along the clash might just be SANDBOX leaning into that.
You have 6 frag grenades though, right? And you'd say, well, that should be plenty.
You should be able to deal with it. You should be able to.
It should be. And again, they made a really good effort where the flash led in, burnt out the ADS, then 3 frag grenades came in, but Static, as you say, fancy footwork. The man's been taking dance lessons, dodges his way around the bunch, in and out, and keeps himself alive right up until the bitter end of that round. This will be the last defensive round in this half, and SANDBOX are chancing it on the upstairs site. You've got Harper playing upstairs once again. Static, rather than being in garage or hanging around Zulu or inside a kitchen, is now down in the basement, doing what you normally see out of players like Yas on Down 1 Kier, for example. So we'll keep a close eye on him and see what impact he has later into the round.
Users just moving across from that west side. It's very similar again from MNM. Move across, sweep through the map, clear out any roamers. But again, Des, the question is asked, are they aware of Static in the garage? You've got to say...
I'll hear that punch, sure.
They must hear it. There you go. The window gets opened up. The challenge comes in from Solotov. Can't quite see his man. And somehow, Static just manages to escape with his life through the rotation.
The rotation saves his life there. Otherwise, he runs and exposes himself to the lobby door. And there was Nello waiting to close it out. But Static is now near that front door. At least, sorry, he's double back downstairs. He's in the basement again. Disappeared into the void. So MNM need to once again keep tabs on him. But Tim, we're nearly 90 seconds into the round. And they've dealt primarily with just one member of the side of SANDBOX.
Tyrant users are just locked in position at the minute. You've got a drone from Tyrant just buzzing around trying to find what's going on. He's surely going to spot out. He can't get past the mute jammer. That's going to keep Harper at least probably disguised inside of security. They can make a good guess that that's where one is playing, but it's all wasting time. And I love the setup from SANDBOX and Static Des. They try to push him in the basement and he takes Solotov to task, removing his head there up through his own rotation. What a great play from Static. Harper's going to drop out of security to join him. They're both going to try and wriggle their way back to rear stage. Envy Taylor comes from nowhere and finds a kill onto users, and SANDBOX are in command.
Absolute control here. 2 members roaming basement, Envy on the ground floor. Not forgetting this is a second floor site. Tyrant has pushed his way in, acknowledging that they are a little bit light on site right now. Nello finding one. They will not know that Tyrant has got his way inside. Did you know about the man tucked to the right? Yes, he does, but loses the shot. Shah with a wonderful shot coming in. An instant headshot. Down he goes. Neo finds one more back, but they've got 30 seconds. It's a 3 versus 2, and this time round, the smoke is dead.
I love this game. It is just great shot after great shot. They are just challenging each other at every corner, raining blows. Harper hits the deck, switches to the shotgun. He knows that the challenge is coming. Can he find his man? No. Nello with a pistol gets the kill, but with 13 seconds left to go, he's going to have a real job ahead of him. Envy Taylor steps out, hits him with the one tap, and that is going to be SANDBOX closing out their defensive round 4-2.
That half's ended as it started. Brilliant roam work coming out of SANDBOX as well, keeping MNM asking questions of, well, guys, we can't get to this next step in our plan until we've dealt with this one. You're spending 90 seconds trying to deal with Static, who was down in the basement. Like, it's going to be frustrating.
I love what I'm really enjoying watching SANDBOX today. I've got to say, they are really bringing the heat.
They are. This aggressive roam game, many look at and just go, oh, you're playing like you would in rank, like you're getting out on the map, you're not really playing strats. It doesn't matter. I was talking to Fresh about this over breakfast this morning. The current meta of the game is really leaning in towards this aggressiveness, this swinging style, which is why APAC, LATAM, for example, are doing so well at the minute. Let's see, though, how SANDBOX can do on the attacking side. They've dropped away from the Ying and brought something arguably even more obnoxious. They've got the Blitz on side, Tim.
The Blitz is coming along. It always begs the question, are we going to see a rush into side? It's a famous one that you and I cast. Kavana Gaming rushed in through elbow behind a Blitz and just went absolutely crazy in the first 15 seconds of the round. Are we going to see a repeat of it?
All aboard the SANDBOX hype train.
Could be.
If it comes in, this is the round to do it. You generally can't get away with it twice in a row. Teams will be slightly more prepared, but even getting away with it just once puts them up to 5-2. A couple more rounds and they're done with the map. At least one more round and they guarantee overtime, which would be a great start for SANDBOX. Not so good for MNM, of course. Not forgetting, this was MNM's map pick, I believe, as well. Next, we go into Kafe, which, here we go. Is it going to start?
They've all spawned into construction. They've got Envy Taylor heading down that way. Novi's just ahead of him, and Well, I don't know. Shiol's gone off elsewhere, but the fourth is going to be joining him. There's definitely potential here for MV Taylor just trying to push in and get aggro.
Don't forget TSM did this one last time as well, where they had Bolo coming down big tower whilst the other four all pushed in on the rush. So you do want at least one player coming in from a different angle, and that looks to be what the setup is going to be. They've kept this blitz quiet. They have no idea that it's coming. It's just going to come to light at one point. They won't bother chucking nades down there, I imagine. It's just going to be a straight up charge, stop Solotov getting back in sight and reinforcing the wall. If they catch a whiff of the blitz, it's going to be reinforced panic time.
Oh, I'm so excited for this, Des. We know it's coming. Everybody at home knows it's coming. We've just got to wait for that moment that SANDBOX pull the trigger. As you say, MV Taylor, he has crouch walked all the way down there to not give away that telltale shield sign. He's just edging his way forward. Here they go. That's the trigger. In he goes. That's elbow cleared. He continues trying to fight. Nitro comes out, avoids it. 5v4, and there's nothing that MNM can do to reinforce that wall now. The ground has been taken, but Nello, he manages to take Static down just to level things up. 4-4 now. Tyrant taking damage, but a big play from Neo. Hits him with a double on the flank. Moves into bunker, shut down by Shiol, but still MNM able to lean into this rush. Tyrant finds Shiol, and that leaves us now 3v1. Nello finds the final kill. It was fun while it lasted, Des.
Wasn't quite the Nino we were hoping for, was it, Tim? They did
fun while it lasted.
They did pause on 90. I think they saw the mirror window, they saw the C4 coming, and that just killed all of the potential in that attack. Well played by MNM, and definitely a different mirror window coming out too. Like, when's the last time you've seen that single reinforcement and a mirror window placed there? I can't think of one.
I feel like it did slow the push down a little bit as well. There was a Nitro that came out, forced MV Taylor back, and it just gave them that sort of full stop, or at least a comma to the sentence to create that pause that they needed. And it was well played from MNM. They didn't panic, they lost the life. Farper was able to get the entry kill, but Neo, really big play at the end there, coming round pillars, just brave move, get in there, find two, and it really, that was the moment for me. SANDBOX were broken.
Did you see where he came from? I wasn't sure if he was hiding in Harry Potter or if he'd come up Highway. I have a feeling they would have been watching Highway.
Originally, it was at the beginning of the round, he was Harry Potter. He was just under the stairs.
Yeah, okay then. For those who are curious what we mean by Harry Potter, generally if there's a call out where you rely on hiding under the stairs or at the bottom of the stairways, it's called Harry Potter. Thank you, Easy, indeed. Poor guy, he's had us 2 days in a row. He's dealt with all the hijinks, all the hilarity that comes with it at points.
He loves us, really.
He does, he does.
Heading into round number 8, then we're going to be heading up to the top floor. MNM getting their first defensive round on the board to bring us back to 3-4 on the scoreboard. Honestly, I had a feeling coming in today that this was going to be our first like really big, tight game that goes the distance, that we start seeing some overtimes in, that we start seeing teams really wailing on each other. I just have a feeling these two teams are going to be very evenly matched throughout this one.
I sure hope so, and again, I really hope we get to that third map. I know Chalet is a big MNM map for SANDBOX, it's a no-go map, but that just gives you all the reason why it feels more exciting to get onto it, because
SANDBOX could be awesome there.
They could. That's what we don't know. We don't know, Tim.
We don't know.
Okie dokie, let's see if SANDBOX can get a bit more of a structured attack together this time round. There is no rush coming in, it's not all sat behind a blitz, so it should be a little more standard in what we see. For MNM, the setup looks pretty typical, to be honest, as well. Everyone gathered up around the top 4. You've got Neo holding inside a trophy, Tyrant supporting him from behind, just like we saw coming out of SANDBOX earlier on. That said, Tyrant has just dropped down into meeting and might be looking to try and provide some support. There's a red ping coming out, they know there's a man inside the bathroom and they're really trying to pinch him out. It's Yuzus who's in a spot of hot bother on the Legion here. Has one more goo mine in pocket as well if he wants to drop it out for a little bit of information, but has now tucked himself away and he should be safe. Sorry, it's Solotov down there. It was Yuzus who was playing on the above, but Solotov swings, gets the kill onto Static inside a kitchen, and now MV Taylor's coming in for seconds. Can Solotov find another? Yes, he can. A big 2k inside a kitchen, and SANDBOX not able to clear him out just yet.
What a start from MNM there. Shiol finds Tyrant though. SANDBOX certainly not done inside of round 8. 3 versus 4 as it stands. Shiol just getting caught up in a goo mine there. That's going to give MNM a little bit of information as to where this push is coming from. Solotov almost loses his life. Des, he runs in front of a car and manages to escape.
The man's a miracle worker. Straight back up towards Big Tower Stairs. He's now again entered the void of basement. We spoke about Static down there in prior rounds. Heaven knows where he will pop up. It could be coming out of Freezer. It could be up Big Tower. It could be coming out of Laundry. There's just so many options he's got to play with. And sure enough, Nova is on the hunt. They want to know where he's coming from. This drone likely going to get left to watch these stairs so a dead teammate can keep an eye on it. In fact, no. All the way up Zulu. They need to find him, in their mind at least, to make sure he can't hit them on the flank.
That's the thing. think it's in their mind. Oh, Nova.
Don't think he saw him.
Little bit of lazy drone in there. Doesn't go all the way into Laundry. And if he hasn't spotted Solotov, like you say, that is now just a thorn in the side of the brain of SANDBOX. As this round goes on, they know that the Melusi is unaccounted for. Where is he going to pop up? What damage is he going to do?
SANDBOX are getting sucked into the same game that MNM did, mind you, of Chase the Roamer. It's so hard because there's such a vast area for you to go chasing. You've got to start thinking about what your execute looks like, and they've only got 20 seconds still to play with here. There is no smoke on side, but there are a couple of C4s, so let's keep a close eye out.
Solotov, this is your time to strike. He needs to get himself back into the mix here, otherwise the time will tick and he won't be effective. Neo finds the kill onto Nova. They can't get into sight. There's MNM have got this one absolutely locked down. A double from users. It levels us up. We are 4-4 in the game, and what an Oregon we are seeing. This is one of the best maps that we've had over the last couple of days.
Oh, I love it so far. We had a brilliant series from SANDBOX against NIP yesterday. If you missed that one, you should go back and watch it. FaZe versus SSG was another screamer. And this one, again, I'll reiterate, for many, they look at this and go, who are MNM? We've never heard of them before. If you watch the EU scene, you watch Challenger League, you will have heard of them. Most of you around the world, probably not going to recognize them. Maybe not a far off story for SANDBOX. You would have known them as Cloud9 or Mantis FPS formerly. You'd still look at these teams and say, okay, then it's lower tier teams fighting it out. It doesn't matter. It's proving to be a really, really interesting game. Very impressed by MNM's structure so far. On the attacking that side, that is. On the defensive side, things are going perfectly for them so far as well. First one a little bit shaken by the blitz, but dealt with it well in the prior round. That roam game, they showed they can tango the exact same way SANDBOX did, and it worked to great effect. 4-4, and they are on the defensive side.
Going well so far for MNM. SANDBOX, you feel they are on the cusp of something though. They just need to get that first attacking round, and it's going to make them serious challengers, serious contenders. I mean, got to remember, this is MNM's map pick. SANDBOX coming in, already taken 4 rounds, and I dare say there's a sting in the tail yet from the APAC side. We know they are not done until the server is closed. So, heading into round number 9, they're going to be attacking onto the third choice site for MNM. It's going to be Meeting and Kitchen, which we've seen a serious lean towards so far in their side. Previously, historically, we've seen a lot of Dining Kitchen as the third choice, but more recently, we've had this shift over towards Meeting again, which is where it originally started out on the reworked Oregon. Meeting was pretty much the third choice.
There was that kind of battle for the longest time of, will teams play Dining, will they play Meeting? And like you say, Dining was where we often defaulted to. Meeting wasn't like completely out of the picture. You can compare it to what you see of Reading and Fireplace and Mining and Fireplace, or Mining and Reading, sorry, coming across on Kafe. Almost forgot the name there for a second. Tyrant with yet another entry. He keeps on finding them. It's unbelievable. Again, the name Tyrant really gives you an idea of what this man can achieve. That's probably his 4th or 5th so far in the game, whether it be by nade, whether it be by gunfight, it doesn't matter. He's finding them the whole way through.
Really is the Arnacle. I'm just going to take out the laser gate at the top of the white stairs there, freeing up the path for Static should he want to go and try and start this top floor clearance. We've got battle lines drawn at the minute with Envy, Taylor, Nova and Static all just lined up on that west side, looking to try and push across from Dining, get angles into Kitchen and just try and get anything working at this point in time. But 4v5, MNM are not keen to overexpose. They're not looking to peek here. Static going to take some damage out of Kitchen as well. It's Envy Taylor with a nade onto Nello though that could really free things up. Static, he's gone bolting right into the centre of sight. Envy Taylor with a second, and SANDBOX are waking up on the attack. Dash users, tries an ambitious drop but gets shut down, and Static, Nova go wild. The diffuser's going down. Neo is last man alive. He finds one. He's got 3 more to go.
Got to try and find it all for himself on the backside of Meeting here, and with diffuser down, SANDBOX scattered to the winds. One in green corridor. Envy working his way on the upstairs by the looks of it here. In fact, holding on to Zulu as in comes Neo looking for the shots. Can't quite find Envy. Takes a bit of chip damage and backs himself away once again. This clock is going to run down in no time at all, so unless he can get a jiggle on right now, he's going to find himself in a lot of trouble. Some more shots come in. More of that HP disappearing away. This should be round SANDBOX, and they hit MNM with pace in that round.
That that's what we've just seen one of SANDBOX's big strengths there, and that is recognising an opportunity and taking it without hesitation. Mid-round, they see that there's nobody inside a kitchen. We think we can get in here. We've cleared out security. Let's go. And they were just in there in numbers. Envy Taylor, Static, users tried to drop. It was all he could do, but shut down. And SANDBOX were just absolutely ready for anything MNM could throw at them then.
All the hard work that round really was done by Envy with those nades.
It was great.
You got
absolutely brilliant play from him.
2 nade kills inside of Dining. Like, normally you would have to go and take top floor control for yourself. We saw MNM do the same on their attacks. Users with the vertical play got some kills from that angle. But rather than pushing up into the top floor, they relied on drone work and nades, really well placed nades at that, to get the kills they needed. Both members removed from the top floor. Barely even a factor in that round, and they push in and get the kill knowing there is no vertical cover through the hatch. Very smart from SANDBOX, and albeit riding potentially a lot on those 2 nades connecting, they did have more in backup with Harper and Static, also with nades in the back pocket should they be required. Let's see then how this next round plays out. Down into the base that we go. After 3 rounds on the defense, MNM have won 2 and lost 1. Exactly the same as SANDBOX. They finished at 4 and 2. If things carry on the way they have so far, overtime is going to be inbound.
5 seconds left.
Looking towards that mirror play, interesting. So we don't have the Blitz brought along this time. Obviously, SANDBOX not going to be trying the same sort of audacious rush that they did last time. And MNM, they've read that and they've lent into it, Des, because we've got mirrors now placed the same as SANDBOX did, whereas previously, it's interesting, they obviously had an idea that rush was going to come because they played it on the wall to elbow. This time, it's not present there. It's been played looking towards Laundry, so they know they're looking at a more default attack here. So I like MNM's setup for this. I like the adaptation, and I like how well they're reading into SANDBOX's game.
Now the question is, does SANDBOX read into MNM's game? Given how we saw MNM attack it, it was the full north side attack. They didn't bother with going the south side. SANDBOX could take the hard route here. They've got the smokes available on the Twitch, so they can smoke out those mirror windows. They can chuck a couple in towards Highway, one off towards the rotate on the right-hand side that leads into Supply. They have got options to play with. MNM did too, but I'm just saying this is what SANDBOX have got to work with here. For now, at least, it's going to be Charles pushing up towards this north side. They want to make sure that there's no one lurking for them and waiting in Tier 3 of Big Tower, because we've seen teams stung by that a good few times. The main focus is going to be on where you see the Heart Breachers go. Where does Nova go? Where does Harper go? I think we had the Kaid as well coming in for SANDBOX on their defense, so a little bit of difference there too, in that you're not relying just on the Maverick, you can afford to get every hatch open.
Absolutely. SANDBOX now confident that they're in control of the top 2 floors. That gives them essentially stage 1 done. Roam clearance and map control is yours, so it's now time to start thinking about clearing out this utility. Hatches start getting open to allow a little bit more access. We'll see then exactly where this push is likely to start building. Shiles just running them merry rings at the minute with the Twitch stroke, manages to get the Laundry facing mirror window. That could be big, and the Arna clone is now pushing down towards Freezer, so it looks like SANDBOX are mounting to play some pressure onto that side of the map. It'll be interesting to see whether they can have more success than MNM did, particularly in gaining access to Freezer and clearing out the mirror window that looks onto it.
I think Shile's still lurking up towards top side of the map as well. In fact, it's going all the way around to construction, so it's a bit of a change coming, because Envy's moved into meeting as well. They've changed, at least it looked like for a second, what they were trying to focus on, but they've still got 3 members on the south, so this is going to be that LATAM push we spoke about a few times. They're going to have Freezer, they're going to have Laundry, they're going to have potentially an E-Box drop, and potentially looking towards North Tower as well. I like. Charles now comes south side too. So a bit of a switcheroo there, maybe because they felt he's done his job on the north side. It's Envy that you now want up there with those nades in back pocket.
It's an attack that I absolutely love because it stretches the defence to the max, and we're going to see a bloodbath here. A Static looks to go in, but he gets flashed out. That's going to burn some time as he can't push forward. Solitov finds the opener onto Harper while Shiol finds Usus, and this is just going crazy, Des. Nello tries to push through the smoke, but he's going to lose his life. Tyrant is on the reload and on the run. He gets shut down. It's 2v2, these bodies dropping left, right, centre, everywhere you look. Neo moves in and manages to get Envy Taylor, and that could be the round deciding kill. Static moves in, shut down by Solitov, and somehow in what was an absolute maelstrom of kills, MNM managed to hold on.
It was back and forth all the way through. There is one thing I'll clock and note there. When those 2 smokes came out, Solitov held on to all 3 smoke canisters, and I was thinking surely now's the time to get those toxic babes out, shut down the push before for it and get underway, but maybe Nello called for it and said, no, don't, I'm pushing through the smoke, I'm going for the kill. If he'd have got Shyle when he came out the other side of that smoke, that would have shut down a lot of that attack, but unfortunately for him, Shyle did win out and they kept on pushing their way forwards. But SANDBOX stung by the same thing that MNM were, the clock works against them. That is one of those final 3 rounds here that MNM have got on the board. They're going to go to Kids and Dorms here, and for me, it's going to be round 12 that is the difference maker when we go back into Kitchen and Meeting. So I think MNM can win this one. If they don't, I'd be very worried if we go into the off-site or if we don't see a repeat of this site.
That's it. We're likely to see either MNM win and we go to Meeting, or we're going to see Dorms twice, I would imagine. I can't see MNM trying to hold on to Meeting in such a crucial round.
I don't know what kind of team they are, but we spoke about this a few times. Some teams, regardless of win or lose, will cycle through the same 3 sites. And even when it's a potentially weaker site, they'll still do it because they get into the mindset of, right, here's the rotation we're going to play, here's the strat we're going to employ, let's go, go, go. Others will repeat the same site. We saw BDS yesterday trying the same site 5 times and went 1 and 4 on it. Wasn't the prettiest, was it?
Wasn't ideal. Now then, we can just see Neo crouching underneath the shotgun of Nello there as Attic gets opened up. There's a deployable shield facing in towards Master Bedroom. It's always one that I like. It just gives a little bit of aggression on towards that south side. Doesn't allow then attackers to just move in too quickly and try to get themselves established inside a closet. Interestingly, there's a rotation in closet, so MNM going to have the opportunity to peek out of there potentially, but also peek through it. They're unlikely to get boots on the ground and try and actually push through it, but if you look at the top of White Stairs, there's a rotation in the wall there. There's a thank you very much easy. 2 rotations gives you a nice long line of sight all the way to that doorway.
It can do indeed. Some cross mats down as well. Let's not forget, Tim is our resident magnet towards these cross mats. There is 1 behind the bunk beds, there's 1 at the top of White Stairs tucked into the left, and 1 inside the window in Attic. So they likely won't have a massive impact too early in the round, but you watch in the final 45 seconds, I wouldn't be surprised if someone steps into 1. Solotov, the hero of Kitchen, again cooking up a storm, trying to find another couple of kills as he has done previously, but so far unable to find anyone. Only thing he's really found is some lost hit points from himself.
He's going to drop away, and we saw Solotov last time causing a nuisance of himself down in the basement, just able to disappear at will it seemed. And Static, he's just trying to hold on to angles there and cut down the basement, but he's not going to prevent the movement of Tyrant, who's now on rear stage stairs and able to move up and look for a potential challenge into Meeting. And I love this from Tyrant and Solotov, the way that they're just rotating around each other, being flexible on the roam and just causing an absolute headache for SANDBOX here. As I say that, Solotov gets the opener onto Harper. Exactly what MNM needed.
That was a run out front door as well. That's like a SANDBOX special. Everyone remembers the replay from Sweden of Cyclops charging out front door and killing 2 or 3 people on jump outs. It was unbelievable against Team 1, I think, as well, of all teams to do it against. But it's MNM striking big on to SANDBOX. That's your Maverick gone. You lose those 2 nades. They stay in back pocket. They won't be coming out anytime soon. SANDBOX have got to get a jiggle on though. Again, 65 seconds to play with here. They've got the drones, they've got the intel, they've got everything, they've got the utility, but they're still losing members. Tyrant finds Static. Not been a great day for him so far, given he was dropping 16 plus kills on a map yesterday against NIP, but so far being silenced by the UK team.
I just feel SANDBOX have been a bit too passive on the road clearance there. They've allowed 2 of the MNM players to just rotate around freely. Tyrant, Solotov just able to move and shoot, and never really be closed down. They just tried to hold flanks, they tried to prevent them moving, but it just hasn't been successful, and they're about to lose another life here if they're not careful. MB Taylor throws the nade. What a reaction from him. He is the man underneath him, and he's able to get onto ADS and find the kill, all in the space of half a second or so. Users now looking towards that top of White Stairs. Sees the man push up, going to look for the challenge. Somehow SANDBOX are finding kills there. They're getting the diffuser down. They've got the cover. This looks like it could be a SANDBOX round until MB Taylor gets down. Nova found out, and that is going to be cleaned up by Neo and Tyrant.
Beautiful stuff. So we get that round we were talking about. We had to see MNM win this one. It's round 12 that is going to be the decider. Normally there's a line that you say at this point in a game, Tim. Do you want to share?
We're going all the way, Des.
To 12 in regulation.
I've got to mix it up sometimes.
Yeah, because all the way normally means 15, right?
No, that's when I say 15.
Okay, we're going all the way to 15. No, we're going all the way to 12. We'll have to use, do you say something like, we'll have to use every round of regulation? Is that the line? It's something there in his textbook. You can't remember it right now. We'll come back to it later. Again, though, round 12, this is the offsite Meeting and Kitchen. This is where MNM have lost previously. If you remember, SANDBOX came charging in through showers, in through dining. We had MB Taylor getting 2 massive kills with frag grenades from below. That's going to be the difference maker for me. If MNM can keep those vertical players alive or force SANDBOX into the same difficulties that MNM had in the first half of losing time trying to clear roamers, that is going to be their ticket to success. So let's keep a close eye on that.
MNM setting up largely the same, I would imagine. We've got Neo just on the rear side there, going to take out the reinforcements on the rear stage wall. We've got rotation being opened up kitchen to meeting. I would expect to see utility up on the top floor as well. Like you say, really for MNM, the difference for me is here. They need to keep an eye on SANDBOX and that potential rush. If they give them the opportunity, if they give them that bit of space, especially if SANDBOX create that little bit of space. As you say, we saw Envy Taylor kill Nello with the nade, and that was like the signal. That was like, right, site's empty, let's go. So if that happens again and SANDBOX get that opener, MNM need to react quicker. They need to be dropping into site ready to challenge those doorways before SANDBOX are established.
Absolutely. Got to say, by the way, looking across the kill spread on both teams, you know, outside of one or two outliers, looking towards Nova. Okay. I mean, it was a try. It didn't kill anywhere. It did get a bit of chip damage down to Harper. But I was going to say, outside of like Nova, Static, maybe looking towards Nello and Yuzus, everyone is really getting involved in the game. And even those members I just mentioned aren't exactly quiet. Again, outside of maybe Nova, it is a team game here. It's not down to one or two players really flying off the handle. Everyone's pulling their weight.
Tyrant playing up on T3 at the minute. Not sure if he's been sort of located up there or not. There are windows punched out, so I would expect SANDBOX to be aware of his presence. If they're going to look to push in from the south and west side, they might not be too worried about him over there. But Chalet is currently located on that side of the map with the Twitch, so they may well try to deal with him, but they could just leave him out in the cold. It looks like Chalet's actually going to rotate away. Yes, he's going round more towards your sort of dining side of things. He's going to look to move in and pressure green corridor instead, but that could be an issue. If he wants to get in on play on that side of the map, that's when Tyrant is potentially going to become a problem. If they're going to ignore him, they need to really ignore him and just play from the south and west side.
Well, he's just got rid of the shock drone from Shah that was tossed down. I don't know if that's both of them gone, but he doesn't have any left in back pocket. Imagine the other ones either out around the map or indeed both are dead, which could prove a problem given Neo is playing on the Kaid here. Let's keep a close eye on where it goes. Again, looking towards the stage wall. That is electrified off. They need that gun if they're going to get this opened up, assuming, of course, they want this side of control. Shile rotates himself around. Do they know? Yes, he does, and Tyrant wins it out. It's another entry for him, and Shile has found himself as the loser in the vast majority of those. Envy also now going down. There's no nades cooking for the top floor this time, but there is a victory cooking up in the kitchen for MNM. He's going to get himself back on his feet, but it's a 5 versus 4.
So we're looking that way at the minute. Static just trying to pressure and pressure and pressure. Nello inside of security. He's done damage time and again, but Nello still alive and looking to hold it down. Static finds his man onto Neo. 4 versus 4. The challenge continues. Tyrant somehow finding that kill, just dipping and diving behind that table, but pops up with a surprise. And there come the last 2. Solotov finishing the man. Envy was down. Envy. Whew, it was a hard fought fight from him, but not quite enough for SANDBOX as MNM, they take Oregon 7-5.
It is their map choice. It came close, but they still walk away with the win set. If anything else comes of this, they get at least 1 point. When we go into Kafe, again, one team has to lose their win streak because both have played ridiculously well there. Just looking down the key kills and the scores on our screen right now, Tyrant sat on 12 at the top. You call them Molotovs and Marshmallows. We call them Solotov and Marshmallows after a performance like that, and no doubt there is plenty more to come.
I'm sure there's a lot of teams that are sitting and taking notice of MNM after that one. Those top 3 kills on the board, Neo, Tyrant and Solotov, what a game they've just had. Absolutely gone wild. Tyrant and Solotov, they just could not get a handle on them at all.
No, it was a really interesting game of Roamers really being a nightmare, right? Look back to the first half when Static was given a few headaches, disappearing into basement. Tyrant just consistently catching people on the entry. I can't wait to see what that looks like, but we'll go to a quick break, and when we come back, map number 2, Kafe awaits for us. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to MNM against SANDBOX. We have just finished up with Oregon, where MNM walked away the winner 7-5. It was their map pick, and now we step into Kafe, where for the last 5 months, both teams have been undefeated. Today, one of those teams will have that win streak ended. For MNM, they're currently 4-0. For SANDBOX, they're 9-0 after beating NIP yesterday. I can't wait to get into this one, Tim.
Honestly, I really cannot.
Look at the 5-0 entry. The man's cracked.
The thing is, the whole entry, look at that, 9-3. Like, they just went absolutely crazy in the beginning of the rounds.
6-0 entry.
They were just picking up so many. It was so good from them. It was very, very impressive, and that's something that SANDBOX definitely need to improve upon on Kafe, because they're just consistently in 70% of that game playing a 4v5.
Yeah, it was one of those where we spoke about it yesterday, but ahead of the NIP game. And again, shout out to Jesse and Jacob for this stat. SANDBOX had the highest conversion rate of any team. If they get the entry kill, they were then going on to win 84% of rounds. Yep. And at Invite last year, they had a plus 29 entry stat, way ahead of the team in second, or I believe at plus 15. I forget who it was. You combine those two together, and you've got a prolific team in the making. But MNM have shown them what for and taken the first map away from them. We now go, as I said, into Kafe, where yesterday they had their tried and tested Flores banned away from them, but they made it work with the Twitch.
The thing is, I don't think there's a ban that can really stop SANDBOX on Kafe, if I'm honest. We know that they are just so good on this map. MNM, this is going to be the real test for them now. They've played on their map, they've been taken all the way to 12. You know, let's look at the positives from the side of SANDBOX. They're coming into a map that MNM wanted to play, that they're going to have prepped, that they were ready to go on, and they've still taken them the distance to 12. So, really, if SANDBOX come in here and maybe pick up a 7-3 or 7-4 and can win themselves Kafe, you start looking towards that last map thinking, well, this could be very competitive, with SANDBOX maybe having an edge, but we know that MNM really like that last map of Chalet, so it's not going to be easy for either team from here on out. But if MNM want to pick up that 2-map win and the full 3 points, Kafe is going to be the place they have to do it. But we can't also ignore MNM's history on Kafe, as you say, unbeaten themselves as well, just not quite as many times as SANDBOX, and a capable team. Honestly, I think we're in for an absolute war here.
In the break, you and I were saying we're dying for this to go.
I really want a
Chalet.
third map.
I really want this game to go the full distance. So, although I'm not here saying I hope MNM lose, I don't want either team to lose. I'd rather they both go on and win and do well, and we see them in the playoffs looking strong. Realistically, is 3 maps going to be the right way to go if you want to see both of them in the playoffs? Yeah, because they both walk away with points. But I think for this series and the quality that we saw on Oregon, it deserves all 3 maps.
Yes, I think that's correct. I think, neither team here, after that performance on Oregon particularly, deserves to walk away empty-handed. They've both put up great performances. SANDBOX, we just need to see a little bit more on the entry. I think if they can do that and they can get those man advantages, we'll see more of a test for MNM. We haven't really seen them defending short-handed, for example, too often. So for me, they really need to do that. If they're going to do that, they need to get a handle on the roamers. I wrote it in my notes a couple of times that they were too passive on their roam clearance. Solotov, Tyrant, just able to rotate around in basement, and it was sort of like the thought process was, well, whilst they're down in basement, they can't hurt us, but they can when they come back up, and they were just too allowing for them. They were just too kind and let them move around at will.
Well, Tim, I'm also a stickler. I'm not a stickler for time. That's a total lie.
I'm a total lie.
I'm a stickler for time inside the game, and that was a big factor in the last round as well. Too much time spent dealing with the roamers. I know you're saying they're going to get a handle on them, but you can't invest too much time. You've got to be razor sharp on dealing with them. Kafe is a map that requires a lot of clearance, so I'm excited to see how this one shapes up. The Nomad ban coming in first is quite interesting because MNM never play it on this map. They love things like IQ, Finca, Iana, Hibana, Sledge. That has been their go-to comp across the majority of their games. The Flora is going to get taken away, the same as NIP banned it away against SANDBOX yesterday. In 80% of their rounds, SANDBOX will play the Flores. They showed yesterday they can do just as well with the Twitch, so I don't think it will phase them, but it does take away quite a strong point. The Wamai also going to come away here as a ban for MNM, and the final one, I imagine we'll see something like a Valkyrie coming out here. Given the Nomads there, roamers are going to be a thing, and you want information to play off of. There it is, going to be the Valkyrie, our 4th and final ban.
Nothing too surprising then, as you say. Largely.
Almost like data suggests this is what you'd see.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Weird, that.
I mean, you mentioned time there, Des. You sort of, you say that you're not always too respectful of time, but sometimes you are very punctual, aren't you?
Am I?
Sometimes you can be very, very punctual.
There's a joke here, and I don't know where it's going.
Particularly for flights. You like to make sure you're on time. I once turned up at the airport with Des for a flight. He was 13 hours early for his flight.
Is that being punctual, though? Is punctual being on time, or is it being exceptionally
You want to know
early?
what that was being? It was being stubborn. Because I told you about 4 times on the way to the airport, and on the week before, Des, I think your flight might have moved. Just double check it. And you were having none of it, and you were 13 hours early.
There's a little joke we have
inside
the UK travel team, the casters that all come from the UK, and that you've got Tim on one end, who's the perfect travel buddy. He's the guy that you want if you want to be somewhere on time with no stress. If you want to be super relaxed about things, I'm your guy. You'll be the last on the plane, you'll be the last one at the terminal, but you'll maximise the time not spent at the airport. So there's a real tale of two tapes here, I think.
Well, sometimes, until you turn up 13 hours early. And then you'll really maximise that airport time.
It's a one-up, all right? I'm just making up for a year missed of airport time. Anyway, we're into the game.
It's top floor.
Not the top floor, Tim. What's wrong with top floor, Tim?
I told you about it yesterday, what was wrong with it.
Tell the viewers, Tim.
I was proved right with what is wrong with top floor. It is a difficult site to defend, and it just seems to remain the primary choice with teams. Kitchen, Reading, so often has a better defensive win rate, but teams insist on going here first of all. I think we saw, I can't remember what the final figure was, but we were definitely at a point where it was defenders has lost it 3 times and won it once. So they had a 75% loss rate on it yesterday across the entire game with NIP and SANDBOX, and it's just very, very difficult for them to hold on to, and I think that there are stronger sites on the map. But SANDBOX, they're going to start things off up on the top. Bar and cocktail it will be.
I wonder if part of this plan by MNM and dropping away the IQ, bringing the Zofia, is they don't need the IQ to deal with Valkyrie cameras, for one. They maybe felt a bit ravaged by them historically. That's not going to be a concern because SANDBOX have done them the wonderful favour of banning it away themselves, meaning they can bring along the Zofia in place of the IQ, more range destruction. They've got a lot of that on side, to be honest with you. 6 grenades, they've got the Hibana Rex Kairos for opening this up at range. They've got the Zofia. There's so much safe utility they've got to play with there. Static penned here inside a cigar shop. Looked like he was taking a good few shots. Has now backed himself away. Tucked him behind the actual display desk itself, but is still under threat here. A well-placed grenade. We'll see him taken out. Almost called it as it was happening. Yuzu's finding the opening kill, and once again, Static not having the best day on entry.
It's very, very clear to me that MNM have done their homework here for SANDBOX on Kafe, because Solotov just picking up Harper on the jump out there as well, alive to the danger when SANDBOX do try to mix things up. But if you saw there at the beginning of the round, Static tried the nitro onto the hatch. So yesterday he waited for the sledge to open a hatch and then he detonated the nitro on the second hatch, as the natural presumption would be you head over to get the second hatch. MNM were well aware of that. They didn't go straight for that second hatch, waited for the nitro to disappear, and then they were just gunning down through the soft wall into the position they know that Static is going to sit and play inside of that cigar shop. So MNM definitely got the read on SANDBOX here. They're doing well. They've got Piano cleared out. They've got the red drop. They're moving into cigar. They are starting to push forward here, MNM.
SANDBOX has done that thing again where they reinforce off both walls between storage and bathrooms. So although there's a rotate there to help speed with the setup, they reinforce it off afterwards, and one man ends up pinned in there. It is MV Taylor. He is locked in. If a nade comes singing in from the south white window, he could be done for. And MNM haven't read into that just yet, but there could be another grenade coming in. They will try and throw one in, but he stacks up with mute jammers. He's got ADSs. He is going to be a nightmare to unseat from this position. He won't try and swing anything just yet, but Charles the first one to step out and find a kill for himself. Tyrant going deep. Planet's going down, sees them out, finds the kill onto Nova. A 4 versus 2, maybe a 4 versus 1 coming into play in a second, but Nello sticks the defuse. MV Taylor's trying to step out, trying to have some kind of impact, as my God, do his team need him right now. It's him and Charles, the dynamic duo from APAC, coming up into a 2 versus 4. Charles hits the deck and it gets closed out by Nello with a kill onto MV. Tim, it sounds like a bold accolade to make this early. I would wager the opening 60 seconds of attacking rounds for MNM are some of the best we have seen of any tournament here at SI so far. Their entry kills, the drone work, the positioning, everything is just brilliant.
It is absolutely no accident that they are completely dominating the entry game. I think you're absolutely right, Des. They are going in. They are very aware of where everybody is located. They are sectioning individuals off very easily and just really isolating people and dealing with them. It's great. They're pushing them around. Static moved into a position for users to get it's just working like clockwork for them. SANDBOX going to head away from that top floor in round number 2. They're going to head down to Reading. They had much more success on this site yesterday, so I'd expect to see something good from them here. There will be a bit of a top floor presence, as we would expect. They were quite aggressive with it at times. They'll push quite a high line, maybe play underneath Skylight, play right up into Cigar Shop. They're not going to let MNM have anything for free here.
So they damn well shouldn't. That mirror could be a bit of a difference maker, mind you. Yes, it can slow things down for them. It can give them a much stronger hold up on the top floor. One thing I do want to see, to be honest, if they play on that top floor again, is to stop the whole reinforcing thing. Like they've done here, these 2 walls were what they reinforced off in the last round as well. So it's a similar setup. The problem with that wall being reinforced off is you can't give support for bathroom in towards the bar. If they come playing in through Cigar, for example, you don't see anything. You can't spray down any shots there, stop them coming up around New Balk as well. It's just messy and very isolated, and you saw that from Envy in the last round. He had to kind of flank into Piano and try and get involved later in the round, but he could do nothing to stop the bar push coming in. They've gone for it again in this round. I don't think it matters as much because it is the Reading site. Just one of those things that I'm looking at and thinking, that probably needs to change at some point.
More than likely. Nova just getting into the late setup there, putting the mirror window down, opening up his peak hole. And as I suggested, SANDBOX quite a high line here. Does Static playing underneath New Hatch. It's going to get opened up, so he definitely needs to be careful here. He's going to just scoot away as the drone sees him, but he's got one above him on Skylight potentially as well, and it might just be time for Static to drop himself away, but he is going to keep himself there fighting for the time being. As I said, very aggressive generally on that top floor hold from SANDBOX, and it does continue, but he does drop away to safety now, and MNM taking good control of the top floor.
That's a good start. Time again was the big thing on this map for me. I'm most excited, to be honest, to see the kitchen defense, because that requires a full map clear and it will really test MNM's ability with the clock. This one, though, not miles off being that much different. You've got Tyrant lurking around downstairs, which is quite new. Don't often see people pushing in from below here, but could look to do some damage up above. If they have information on where Nova is behind this mirror window, it would be one of the first kills I think I've ever seen from downstairs onto that second floor, but instead working his way out towards the gold stairs, going to push his way forwards and just try and deal with anyone that might be trying to play a C4 down below.
Just going to hold that angle at the bottom of White Stairs for the time being. Cut off any potential rotation. Users just eating up that Ella mine as he drops down. And it's going to wear off. And he'll be able to start pushing forward toward the mid-floor. They've got Red Controller now, and Solotov just still very conscious of the potential for this top floor, and there are a number of players up there, and while you feel MNM have maybe started to get some control, SANDBOX just able to work their way back into it. Static finding himself, he's dropped away from this position once, and he's come back, and they are absolutely adamant, and we know why, to hold on to this top floor. It's going to be a freebie, Des.
He missed.
No, he misses the one-tap shot. Sometimes you can't go for style. You gotta go for substance, and Static just missing his opportunity there. And whew, I tell you what, Neo gets away with one.
He gets away with a freebie. Solotov biting into Nova for the first time, but it's at that 30-second mark where MNM have only just really got inside the building and started establishing any kind of ground control. Not that it's going to slow them down, because once again, they are in a 5 versus 3. This has happened at least 6 times across the 2 maps so far, and with a numbers advantage like this, they've got to pull the trigger. There's 15 seconds left on the clock. In comes a push. Tyrant missing out. Shile finding one. Neo gets MV elsewhere. The 4 versus 2 comes in. Uses a great shot onto Shile. Harper's left alive. Shotgun in hand. Steps in one. Uses the shutdown. Even with no time on the clock, they get the closeout.
Starting to feel like SANDBOX is in big trouble here, Des, to be honest. This was a map that we expect them to come in and really start commanding and get in a few rounds, but the defense so far has seen no joy for them. They've lost top floor. They've lost Reading. They're heading now to kitchen. They're trying to find a scrap of anything they can get a hold of, but MNM, the problem is they are growing in confidence. As each round goes by, they're playing freer and freer, and it is making them very difficult to challenge.
There is one fact we didn't raise to those of you at home. This event is the first time the players of MNM have ever met. I think a couple of them, like Coach Amerta and the owner Cal, have met. I think they met Nello before, maybe at an event as well. But not only that, it's also for the majority of them playing a LAN for the first time. They had to arrive on the weekend. They turned up, and I spoke to Omerta. He said on Monday we played 12 hours of scrims. The boys had, outside of Nello and I think one or two others that have played like UK or Benelux lands, they've never played on 0 ping before. They have basically had to not quite relearn the game, but learn the game in a LAN setting after meeting each other for the first time, after just qualifying to EU, and no doubt being exhausted after all the work they've put in. Yet are coming in here and making a team that beat the defending world champions yesterday look like a walk in the park for them on a few of these rounds. Sure, they've been stretched on the clock a couple of times, but I'll take that as being the only but you can really say about your team, because in all of the departments, they are flying.
Certainly going well for them so far. We've got the freezer wall set up there. It's always an interesting one where you make it look like Swiss cheese, putting a Rooney gate over it and just try to play into anybody trying to push from that side. It means that you can aggress through it, but it's not easy to breach necessarily and actually get that access into freezer. MV Taylor is going to be up on the top floor, just drone hunting at the minute on the Mozzie, just trying to make it difficult, deny that information. It's not something that we see used too often anymore, isn't the Mute Mozzie combo, where you just try to completely shut off information to a complete floor essentially and make attackers peek into you.
It's in a healthy state, I think, where it's a niche sort of setup, and this is where you want operator balance to sit, in that you're not running it every single round. In the same, you don't always see Jaeger or Mai, for example, right? It's more that you can employ it on certain maps in certain positions or team preferences. Like one example I lean to is Nello very rarely ever plays Thermite. Hibana is his go-to hard breacher. Other teams on this map will love things like the Ace. They'll bring along a Thermite. I thought it back on the last map of Oregon as well. You saw Maverick and Hibana. You didn't see a Thermite at all. Some teams love playing those ops. So when it's kind of a choice, I think that's when you know an operator or operator pairing is in a good spot.
Top floor clearance is continuing for MNM here, so if you're wondering what's the next step, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get themselves top and mid floor locked down. They need that control. They've only got 3 drones though, so SANDBOX doing a great job of denying information here with the Mozzie, with the Mute, and just with their guns shooting those drones out. Tyrant taking the challenge just on the white stairs there, but I'll tell you what, SANDBOX are just holding on to this stairs. They're not letting go of it. We're going to see Solotov downed here, and this is a better start from SANDBOX, one of the best that we've seen inside of a round. We're already past the minute 30 mark. There's no verticality going on yet. There's no possibility of that happening yet, because SANDBOX are still fighting over the mid floor. Great round from them so far.
Having to just swing and pre-fire things here as well, and this is what I spoke about in the previous round. I said I was really excited about seeing the downstairs, because that's when you'd see MNM made or broken, and so far they're feeling broken. The roamers of SANDBOX have cleared out the vast majority of these drones. At about the minute mark, they've started swinging their hammer. A minute and 30 is generally the benchmark for you to get enough done that you can execute. So they're going to have to panic a little bit here and almost start rushing as things go by. I think they've just electrocuted off a bunch of the hard breach pellets coming through onto the fireplace hatch. So instead what they're going to have to do is put those hard breach pellets around the side of it. A trade comes in, Harper going down while Static gets Tyrant elsewhere.
That was a beautiful nade from Users there, just using the half window, getting it down through the ceiling to just find his man 4v4, but MNM, they are against serious time pressure here with 25 seconds left to go. They drop into the hatch and they're just going to have to aggress into sight, but they're likely to aggress into Nova's shotgun. He hits one, pumps for a second, throws the nitro. He's coming back for more. Does he find any? He gets his man. That's a double. MV Taylor joins the party 1v3 as the MNM attack just absolutely collapses in upon itself. Users takes damage, closed out by Chalet, and SANDBOX are back in the fight.
This is what we wanted to see. It'll be interesting if this leads to a 4-2 split for the attackers, but time bites MNM in the backside. Bit too much time spent on the roam clear. Drones were getting eliminated there by members of SANDBOX. Really well controlled with the with the Mute and the Mozzie. Just really good stuff for SANDBOX. At least get themselves around on the board. Now we need to convert it into a couple more in this half. A 3-3 split isn't super ideal on the defensive side, but you'll take it if that's what you can get. We go back up into Bar and Cocktail. We saw them lose this back in round 1. I'm hoping this time round things prove to go a little bit better.
As you say, they need to change something up. It was very well managed by MNM on their attack of this top floor site, so they knew that Static was going to be playing in and around Cigar Shop. They dealt with him within the first minute very easily. It meant they could get in, they got control. They swept across site. Tyrant able to walk in and find kills inside a Cocktail. Diffuser went down. Basically, everything that could go wrong sort of did for SANDBOX, really. MNM were just able to find every crack, every crevice, and just get in there and break them open. So this time, SANDBOX, they've got to stand up a bit taller. They've got got to hold on. Don't want to be giving themselves away. For me, it's about doing things a little bit differently. As I say, the read into Static was there. They knew where he was going to be playing. They knew the Nitro that was going to come out. It has changed this time. Static's on the smoke. We've got the Goyo. We've got a few different things going on.
Oh, Tim, are they going to reinforce the wall? No, they've left it open. So they rotate all between bathroom and storage, the one that I keep on mentioning. Yep, this one, thank you very much, Easy. That was constantly being reinforced off. This time, for now at least, has been left soft. So that is a big change to what we saw in all their rounds against NIP yesterday and what we've seen so far from them. So this will give the chance for Envy Taylor or whoever plays in there, I think it is Envy on the Aruni, the ability to challenge a little bit more clearly, and everything I've said has now been negated as they are reinforcing it off. Never mind.
It was set up for you, Des.
It was.
Put the rotate there.
So sad.
It looked like they were going to lean into playing the pixel spot a little bit more, into piano, try and deny that access for MNM, but it may well be that they just play a little shallower now. They can still play inside of the washroom. They've got the shield set up there. Solotov, however, he's going to find Envy Taylor, and it's another entry for MNM.
I was just about to say there's now no one that can take the stop off where Envy was, because he was the pixel and a washroom player. They did have one step down, so Nova's come across from playing on Lumber or top white and is now set in that position. So they do have backup there. Just would have been a bit easier if the rotate was, you know, left open.
Goyo shield is going to be detonated on Pixel Spot corner, so it's just step by step for MNM again. They've recognised the different defence and they're picking it a piece part by part. They've dropped into the top of red stairs now, aggressing in behind that Gemini decoy. Solotov gets himself established inside a cigar, going to hold an angle while just more men get themselves inside of the map. I would expect, look at this, Des, they're all stacking up on the skylight. I think they're going to go for it here. The flashes go in. It could well be a drop. Nope, they've dipped away from it. It just looked for a second like they might go over the ledge there and try and get the diffuser down, but they're continuing with this great utility clearance at the minute.
It's because they wanted to get these shields cleared out of storage first so no one can sit behind them and challenge them as they go in for it. Now they've done that, you can see the drones racing through just to make sure it's clear. They know there's a player hanging around Freezer, around Lumber that might rotate back through, but that's it, because again, the rotation is closed off. They haven't got to worry about it all that much. So let's keep a close eye on that and see how it weighs into this round. You've got Yuzu's ready to come swinging in on the new balcony up above Cocktail. He can have a big impact here given the opportunity.
Nello with a smart play there, just taking the barricade out for him, and it just prevents the sound of that sledgehammer opening it. It could just give them the element of surprise. Chalet does find Tyrant with a nice headshot from across the map, looking for more but can't quite see through that Toxic Babe canister at the minute. As it clears, he does have another opportunity, can't find the Hibana of Nello. We're just waiting for users to swing in on that East Rappel, and here he goes. Des, how much success is he gonna find? He's on the flank, but it looks like SANDBOX have read into it a little. There's one man that does get taken down. It's going to be Chalet losing his life. Nello has the opportunity to put the diffuser down, and Users gets aggressive, finds one into barback storage, and once again it's falling apart for SANDBOX as the diffuser will be confirmed. It's all up to Nova in piano. Can he play them a pretty tune here? Absolutely not, as Neo shuts him down, and that's MNM with another attacking round on top floor.
I hate to sound like a broken record, Tim, but look at the impact Harper had there from on Pixel and Bathroom. Absolutely none. They ignored him. They came pushing in through bar. He could not contest them at all without exposing himself. Users come swinging in, clears out Cocktail. They have no control around the site, and an easy plant comes in. MNM identifying the opportunities put before them, the weaknesses in SANDBOX's setup, and capitalizing beautifully. They're now sat at 3-1, and there is work to do for SANDBOX. Reading and Fireplay is going to be where we head back to for a second time. You know, again, the clock does hurt MNM at points on this site. Let's see how they do here.
MNM supporters are going to be sat very happily watching this, I would imagine, because they are looking confident. As each kill, as each round comes in, they just seem to grow in strength and stature, and they're getting right on top of SANDBOX Gaming at the minute. The impressive thing that MNM are doing is reading into that SANDBOX defence for me. They're going in and they're recognising, as you said, Des, where are those key points? What do we need to pick apart? Do we need to worry about Pixel? No, we don't need to worry about Pixel, but we do need to focus on barback storage. Get that cleared out and we can do X, Y, and Z. They're just recognising those avenues very well, and they're opening and exposing them.
And they're reinforcing it again. Okay. I'm just going to stop talking about it. You guys now know that SANDBOX are going to reinforce this wall no matter what. you know what impact that has on the round, as we've now seen it 2-3 times. They've lost top floor twice, they've lost reading and fireplace twice. It's having a pretty big impact. For MNM, then we'll see what their attack point is going to be, because last time it came as a bit of a push down through Train and tried to steamroll their way in through there. I imagine we'll see the same once again, and we're going to see a mirror in the same spot inside of Train, I expect, just to help them control at least up towards red. You can see the feet level holes that are currently scattered across in the museum entrance as well, just above mining, that will help that mirror do some damage.
Tyrant just getting straight away on towards that east rappel. He's just opening up the white stairs window, thinking about having a look, pushing forward. Just what that does is it cuts off the rotate. So the man that you can see there playing in and around washroom, looking to get up and down, cause a nuisance. It's Chalet on the Jaeger. It just prevents him going back down white stairs because he's not confident then, obviously, of whether that window is being watched or not. He's going to move himself away through piano for the time being. We've got one on the mirror window, but a drone has not been spotted. And
it's cheeky.
Be a cheeky nade.
I mean, I was going to say, the only thing that, unless he saw that and thought that's alibi, just holding firm or what, at this level you should know that's a clone. I'm pretty sure he did. Just wanted to get it cleared out. Any of the gadgetry that might be supporting on the south side also gone here. You got Solotov looking to play nades from below. This was Tyrant last time round. Now it's Solotov trying to do the same. They just need eyes on exactly where this player is. They didn't get any damage down onto him there just yet, but I imagine he'll be backing out of dodge, getting onto the concrete around that wooden floor so he can't be caught out again.
MNM pretty spread out around the map at the minute. They're trying to push 3 or 4 different angles. They haven't really impacted on the top floor hold as of yet. Bullets will fly. You see the tracers just zipping past Solotov's head. He's not able to find a target though. Users will find Harper and shut him down for the opener. As you say, the freest kill he's going to get today as he just shoots the man in the back to start things off for MNM. But time could start being a factor here because they still don't have top floor control, Des.
Absolutely. It was a good little move from users, you know, so common to open that up when you're attacking onto the downstairs, maybe less so here, but gets Harper in the back, a great opener. Static getting one back onto Tyrant. So that 4 versus 4 in the last 60 seconds or so. SANDBOX have been in worse positions. They're normally finding themselves 5 versus 3, 5 versus 2 at this kind of point. There's a good chance they can hold on here. MB being challenged here on the reading door, has to back away, gets himself snagged out by Solotov on the return shot. Now it's Shild, the last man inside of sight, droned out. The pressure from MNM is starting to build as Static finds one more. He swings to the door, but Static again on the flank is going huge from above, finds himself a third, and this could be the shutout that SANDBOX are looking for.
The big problem here for MNM is they've never dealt with top floor, Des. They've never got Static shut down. That's where he's played from the whole time. Nello now goes up there.
No.
I mean, it's a nice shot, but it's not the one he wanted. He's going to hit his own man Usus and just take him down. It leaves him now 1v3. Quite a few mistakes creeping in for MNM there on that round. As SANDBOX close it out, the big one for me was that rotation away from top floor. It's sort of, MNM got to a point where it was like, we're not going to get top floor, let's just dip away from it and try and go direct to site, but they didn't account for what's going to happen if you try and do that. Static's going to find a 3K from top floor.
Yep. It does put some pressure on MNM here as well. They're looking for the 4-2 half, right? They've won bar cocktail, they've run reading and dining. They've lost it just, reading and fireplace, sorry. They've just lost it there a second ago. So now you're looking to kind of recoup a loss, get back a win on the kitchen site. Last time round, they were ridiculously slow. And I did mention last time round, for those who are wondering, I said, you know, 1 minute 30 is the sort of benchmark for when you want to start swinging hammers on the train, the fireplace floor, and start looking downstairs. MNM started that process at the 60-second mark, and you saw how much they were panicking on the fireplace drop to try and go for a plant. And I've sort of benchmarked this over the space of a year, where the best teams generally, 1 minute and 45, 1 minute and 50. SANDBOX are one of them over in APAC North that are very good at getting that moving fast. One of the slower ones before they exited the scene was Nora Rengo. They would consistently find themselves with 60 seconds to go and be panicking in the dying moments of a round. So about that 130 mark seems to be the ideal. It's where most teams tend to sit. It leaves you just enough time to think about your execute to get yourself set up. So I want to see MNM be a little bit quicker here. Top floor and second floor control needs to be done inside 90 seconds.
Exactly that. They need to, and we've just seen them struggle to get top floor control. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what MNM do differently here. They've been very strong in the beginning of rounds so far. We've spoken about their information game, the way they've been locating players and shutting them down, but not really able to replicate that in the last round. SANDBOX maybe just finding that sort of bit of magic that they needed, that change to the formula that's going to help them get a couple of rounds here. As we said all along, expect them to have a good performance here on Kafe, expect them to potentially push MNM to that third map, but For now, we can't get too excited from SANDBOX. It's one good round, but they need to continue it.
They do indeed. You can see the bakery hold, prep hold, the electrification, everything coming in here out towards the west side. So SANDBOX really staking a claim on saying, yeah, you might try and come in from this side of the map. They wouldn't be far off wrong. There are two of them currently stationed out towards the west, one slightly out north outside of Small Bake as well. So rather than a full top-down clear, MNM are trying to go horizontal, and SANDBOX have read into that perfectly.
Chalet just hiding in behind the bakery counter, and a little treat comes his way. He manages to evade the nade, though, as MNM just managed to get...
Evade the nade, I like that.
There you go, you can keep that one. Envy Taylor, however, will find a kill onto Nello, despite the good work that's been done on the bottom floor by MNM to get access into bakery. They haven't really taken over that ground yet. They haven't staked their claim fully, and Tyrant is just well aware that there's a man on the backside. I don't think he knows that he's in VIP, though, Des. He's going to get himself flanked, but no, he's going to get himself killed by Harper before that happens, who pops out from the kitchen and manages to shut the man down.
It's unfortunate because now MNM are starting to bleed numbers. A 3 versus 5 with 90 seconds to play. They've got the timing right, but not quite got the numbers remaining to make it successful. There's two dancing around prep here, and Solitar's going to find himself going down to a Nova shotgun blast. A 2 versus 5, and it does feel like this half is going to end at 3-3. So a good recovery coming out from SANDBOX overall. Now down to a 1 versus 4 as Envy trades out. His man, Yuzu's falling down to the deck, and Neo on the Zofia left all alone to do this.
It really feels like SANDBOX have woken up in the last couple of rounds here on Kafe, and all of a sudden they are really here to play. MNM, I think, are going to have a more difficult time of this as this map continues, especially when they move on to the defence. They're going to come under a lot of pressure. It's a great pre-fire onto Static there, just coming out of court check, but there's a lot more work for Neo to do. He's got 3 more kills to find. He does have time on his side, 38 seconds left to go. It's not an immediate desperate rush just yet, but SANDBOX are playing this smart. They're just keeping themselves away. That's not going to help Neo at all, really. It tells him that the man is there, but it's going to hinder his ability to be able to make the challenge. Opens up the floor, but the Malusia's pushed down. Neo manages to find Envy. 1v2, and this is where it starts getting tense. He knows he's...
No way!
It's 1v1. He's got 3 out of 4. He's got 12 seconds left to go. He's on the LMG reload. He's going to close it. It's terrifying in this late situation. He just has to push and somehow finds him through the soft wall, but the opportunity was really there at the fingertips of Neo for the 1v4 clutch, and it slips away at the last second.
They were either some phenomenal dead man drones, or it's brilliant intuition coming out of him. If he'd have swung that one back and given MNM a 4-2 half, it would have been unbelievable. We just had Charlotte in all chat saying, wow, it did almost come down to a 1 versus 4 being won. Beautiful play. Just expected the man to be on the deck, but just couldn't quite clinch out that last gunfight. The Aruni Gate doing a little bit of helping hand there as well, leaving him on just sub 30 HP coming into the final gunfight. Reading and Fireplay is going to be where MNM start out their defensive side. Looking pretty tanked up. You got the Mute, you got the Goyo, you got the Maestro coming into play, and we saw the Maestro band away a couple of times yesterday, Tim.
We did. We saw a couple of our games. I think a couple of our maps, rather, in both games. We saw the Maestro band out. Seems to have come back to a little bit of prevalence. I mean, the Auda's always been super powerful. We know that. You hold mouse 1 and see what happens. You know, but the cams obviously took the nerf. I won't say recently anymore because it was a little while ago. Now the glass can be smashed on them. You know, they're a lot easier to sort of deal with, to clear out. You know, they open up easier. The Twitch drone can deal with them. So it's just, you know, he's not as strong as he once was, but still very useful.
This is really interesting because SANDBOX don't often bring the sledge. They do bring it sometimes, but in the vast majority of their attacking rounds, they bring a buck. That's what Envy Taylor will settle on, whereas here, they're doubling down on the nade damage. In most of their lineups, they'll only have 4. They're bringing extra here, arguably because the Flores has been banned away, and they said, okay, if we haven't got the destructive capability for utility that a Flores would bring, we need more frags in back pocket. And the sledge is going to give them those vertical angles to go tossing those nades through to hopefully catch things out. Another really interesting observation is Static is normally the go-to Iana player. He is the entry for this team, but when Finka is an option and it's more viable for them, apparently he's the man that steps across to playing it, with Harper being given the backup duties of playing on the Iana. So, lots of nades, lots of aggression coming out from this lineup. 3 big fragging operators for Static, Charles and Harper. this could be a pretty hard-hitting team when they get down to gunfights.
Certainly could be. They're going to get into the top floor to begin with. It is in a reading room site that they're attacking onto, so MNM swerving that bar as being the top floor sort of site of choice, Des. Do you know how many times the defenders have won bar today?
None.
None out of 2, Des. None out of 2. And MNM, they're going to decide to play that later in their rotation. Static goes in aggressively on the Finker here. I like this. Bit of information ahead of him as the Gemini drone just drops in front of him. Just going to feed that information in. Moving confidently through Pixel here. He knows there's nobody playing inside of there, but he's just going to be held up by the laser gate for the time being.
Interesting fact for you as well, SANDBOX's win rate on attack on this map, 62%. They're pretty good at attacking Kafe, so if things carry on the way they have done for them historically, they could actually walk away the winners here, and we would get that Chalet drain that we've been asking for, Tim. For now, at least 90 seconds in, they have been held up on this top floor by the ADS, the laser gates, the shields, you name it. Everything is hindering them. Solotov is starting to feel the burn, mind you, as flashes come singing his way. They've got 2 playing on the east rappel and 2 looking to push on the south side of Lumber. Surely he dies, he'll find 1, but then finds himself picked off by Static immediately after. A pre-fire around the corner, and they've got themselves 2. It's going to be a 3 versus 3. Not a bad start from MNM. They burn through a bunch of nades, they get through a lot of utility, and they get through 2 members whilst eating up 2 minutes of time.
Certainly not terrible, but SANDBOX do now have that top floor control, but importantly, the sledge is dead. Des. That's not an easy one to do.
Hopefully never have to say dead Des ever again.
Hopefully not. That's really limiting their ability for that soft breach to open up the floor and use the vertical that they've just given 2 lives to take. So they're now likely going to have to just sort of push horizontally into sight.
This is a very late rotate from Charles as well. You know, you're down to almost the last 30 seconds and you're rotating all the way over to push them below. He's going to have to full sprint this. We've seen on default cam, so much so that he's in a rush that he's ignoring the default cam that was in Bakery.
Going for a personal best here.
He is indeed, yeah. Most steps covered. The man's got some fitness rewards to claim at the end of the day. Here he comes pushing his way inside a train, mind you. Looking now to challenge the man who's in here. Must know. May have heard him stepping across, but this is again all time being wasted. And Tyrant, he's waiting and lurking. Users gets the shutdown onto Nova. Static will get one back, and sure enough, Shile wins it out. Nello's in a 1 versus 2. Can he clutch out big here? They're going to have to charge in for the plant, and Nello's in the wrong site. He's looking in the wrong place, my man. They're in the other one. Sees all the pings coming in. Can he get the spray? Straight through the smoke and gets the closeout. They win by the clock.
I'm going to say something here about Nello that I've said countless times.
Have you really? Go on then.
And that is that nobody knows the sites in this game as well as Nello does from being inside of them. And he's just proven that there. It took him, what, 4 bullets to hit that man and take him off the diffuser? Like, Nello is just, for me, probably one of, if not the best site-based player that we've had inside on the defence. He's absolutely unreal. His knowledge of every location and angle inside of those sites is just phenomenal, and it's because he never leaves them. He never leaves them.
The critical man inside me wants to say, well, he was red ping, so he knew where to shoot, but he did rotate away from the doorway and off towards the soft wall on the right-hand side to get that angle down. That's the knowledge prover. Not going to lose any bullets to chairs, tables, whatever. Straight into the body of the planter and gets them the round win. So far, SANDBOX are seeing the same difficulties that MNM had around the clock. I know it's only been 1 round, but they're seeing that clock come back to bite them. A 30 seconds full sprint outside the map from Charlotte, something I definitely wasn't expecting to see, but we saw it nonetheless. We're going to head down into basement, so clearly, Tim, Omer has been listening and taking some notes behind the scene and saying, oh, this Tim lad, he knows what he's talking about. Bar Cocktail sucks. We're not going to play it.
It's almost as if he's watched thousands of hours of this game.
He's probably watching us right now. Hi, Steph. How's it going?
He's almost as if he's watched an awful lot of this game and he's seen people repeatedly lose the top floor on Kafe.
Weird, that.
It is weird. So we, as you say, are going to be heading down to Kitchen this time around. It's round 8. MNM managed to get themselves a slight advantage on the scoreboard. 4-3 now. They find themselves on their second defence. It was close run, I think we have to say that. It was a successful 1v2 for Nello at the end there, as you say, just using the angles and the soft walls to enable himself to be able to get that one even through the smoke. But Tyrant here, he's poised, Des. He wants to go out of this window. He's certainly keen. He's itching to try and get himself a nice entry kill. I mean, on the entries, it's been a little bit more even this time. Still not terribly though. I think it's 5-2 in MNM.
I mean, make
6-2.
it 6-2. Yes. He's straight out onto Shile there. I thought for a second, he won't find anyone. You're only seeing a drone there. They're prepped for it. It's not a problem. But he makes it work. Shuts down the Twitch. Takes away those 3 drones. The default one plus the 2 shock drones. Really, really good value add for the team because also some of those smokes have been removed. So there are still some available for Static playing on that gridlock. It's interesting, by the way, they ban away the Nomad and then bring along that gridlock. They still clearly want the flank watch. They just ride on teams not wanting to play it, whereas they're very happy to play it themselves. It's another LMG, because why would you say no, right?
Exactly that. They're going to drop down. They've got control of the mid floor.
Never mind, he's not playing
well
LMG.
ahead of time. Well ahead of time. Envy Taylor's going to be able to start opening up those verticals almost 10 seconds faster than your favoured markup of 1 minute 30 does. The vertical pressure will start to be applied. Just looking for the angles inside a kitchen, but they're not really going to find anybody because at the minute MNM are largely playing out towards the bakery side of things. They've just moved underneath a little bit. We've had Nello rotate back onto that side and they've shifted up towards sort of north of Freezer.
I just noticed why they're doing this, by the way. When they put the Etskaros to the side of it, some might go out so they can roll a nade through. No, they put it on the spot on the ceiling where it electrifies both walls downstairs and the hatch at the same time. So the Etskaros go off and they remove it, then you can get the hatch opened up too. Either way, MNM now find themselves with the 2 opening kills in this round. Charles and Envy are both gone. The sledge has been removed. Yes, he was swinging that hammer for a good 30 seconds, 40 seconds or so, but him being off the board is not going to be too nice because he's now lost both of those frags as well. They've got 2 still with Harper, but there's work to do for SANDBOX. They're at the final 40 seconds or so, and MNM still feel in control of this game.
It's really difficult for them now because the 3v5, MNM are locked into site. They're happy to pretty much sit there. You've got one playing inside of VIP who just makes a nightmare of himself and gets a kill onto Nova, and it's all falling apart for SANDBOX. And once again, Des, it's that Tyrant and Solotov combo that are just running round, jumping out, taking peeks, and just not letting SANDBOX sit for a second. Tyrant takes some damage, but Solotov's got him covered. If it's not one name, it's the other. MNM close out the round. It's 5-3 now, and they are cruising towards a potential 3 points.
Solotov and Marshmallows, mate, I said it earlier on. They are definitely careering towards a 2-0 here, now at 5-3, with a couple more defensive rounds still to play. They're going up to that site. This is the real test in Tim's book. If you want to win his heart, you need to win on bar and cocktail. That's where they're going to step into next. We're seeing a mirror being brought along. Tim, you know exactly where my focus is going to go. What walls are being reinforced? Who's playing Pixel and Bathroom? And where are those mirror windows going? Oh, okay.
Anyway, Des, as we're going to have Neo just change out on the 6th pick there. He's going to bring along the Clash. We've got no Zofia on the board to deal with it. We've got a few nades. We've got Finka and Diana that will be both bringing nades along. So this should be the utility necessary to be able to clear this Clash out. But it does then potentially limit where those nades can go.
I did mention the Buck earlier on as well, so the whole idea of bringing him, I did say SANDBOX love playing this, Envy in particular. What he wants to do is get underneath Cocktail here and open the whole thing
I
up.
absolutely love that strategy.
It essentially just means you can't play someone in what was called, I want to say it's Maestro spot, but something also says to me Nello spot, because I know he played there a lot back when he used to play it too. That's at the top side of Cocktail. You'll sit behind there, it's pretty safe, unless you get naded from below, you're not being removed, or unless a Buck comes below and opens up the entire floor of Cocktail, then no one can play in there at all. So keep a close eye out for that one. But to me, this Clash could be a difference maker. It's the mobile mirror window. It's not fixed to a wall. We already saw how the side of SANDBOX ran time down against MNM back on Oregon with this pick. Let's see how MNM can do with it as well.
It is a really interesting way of dealing with the east side hold because we know that tends to be the sort of final, the last bastion of defenders is over in Cocktail on that east side. You push them all the way across there. So, like you say, going in with the Buck and just opening up the floor completely prevents them from sitting in those positions. Envy Taylor looks like he's heading towards Reading here. He's dropped away. He's going to maybe work from the top floor instead. I was hoping to see him inside of Reading, Des. I'm not sure that we're going to do now.
No. Worth mentioning up on that upstairs, I'm always watching the washroom area because it's such a pivotal location. They've got the Aruni gate on the south side in case there were nades to come in. Because what we saw yesterday when these guys played, when SANDBOX played against NIP, was Envy Taylor would start on the south side. He'd chuck nades in towards White, in towards the washroom, then go up onto the roof, open up the 2 hatches on the top floor so the team could start their attack. He was like Spider-Man all over the building, constantly keeping himself busy, but because he's playing on the Buck, it's going to be a different story. They've also got the Clash to provide support in White Corridor, store, so they're really playing on storage and washroom being 2 key locations for them.
SANDBOX not really moving too quickly at this point. Solotov's going to take some damage all the way down in basement. Where have we seen this before, Des? Just absolutely free around the map to move as he pleases, wasting so much time. He knows he's going to be challenged. He's going to get the kill. Yes! Ooh. Great roam from Solotov there as he shuts down Static. He looks to find himself a second. He knows he's still being challenged. It was an attempt at a pinch. He could probably get himself away here if he wants to, but he's just conscious of a second.
What?
He gets the headshot onto Harper, and he has no right, Des, no right getting both of those kills.
That's the kind of stuff that ends a round, and I feel like we've said this now at least 10 times across 2 maps. MNM are in a 5 versus 3. This time exclusively off the back of Solotov. He had no help down there. He was droned out, he was being pinched from 2 angles, but his movement turned it into 2 separate 1v1s that he came out on top of. They've got smoke canisters, they've got a clash, they've still got C4s, they've got so much still to play behind, and SANDBOX have only got 45 seconds left.
This could well be the first time a lot of people are seeing MNM play, and they're starting to see why so many people are excited about this team.
I haven't even thought about what Demo's like backstage right now.
Uncontrollable.
I heard him cheering for Na'Vi early on. We were like, is Demo casting? He was in the talent room, but it sounded like he was casting. He'll be ecstatic about this performance so far, and hopefully MNM feel the same. But let's not count SANDBOX out just yet. There are still things they can do, but a 3 versus 5 is a hard fight back. Solotov getting into another fight, this time put slightly lower. It's Shyle taking some chip damage, but they're out of time, Tim. They've got to push in now. He finds one. He can't get round the clash, unfortunately. In comes one on the north. He goes down 2. 2 on the deck. It's going to be a round out for this one. MV Taylor left alone, killed from Piano. Match and series point for MNM.
They've got themselves onto the very edge of victory here on a map that we really thought SANDBOX were going to come out and dominate, in all honesty. I really did think that this was going to be going all the way to 3, but for some reason, somehow, SANDBOX just haven't really shown up here on Kafe, and honestly, Des, I think it's down to MNM's homework. As I say, they just seem to know what to expect out of SANDBOX. They just seem to be able to be that step ahead of them, and let's be honest, there's something that's happened in that last round that you just can't account for. Solotov, bottom floor. He's pinched. He has one either side. He's being droned. Does Solotov get killed? No. Does he kill both of them? Yeah. Absolutely. Des, we said it on Oregon. I'm going to say it again here. He isn't stuck in there with them. They're stuck in there with him.
Ain't they just? So much so that there's a bit of panic settling into the SANDBOX side. Jackal is being brought along because they are sick and tired of being tormented by these roamers coming out from MNM. It's been several. Solotov has been one of the main culprits throughout, but we've also seen Tyrant getting busy on the odd occasion as well. A bit quiet this map, all the focus turning back in towards Solotov and Yuzus. But as we always say, it's a team game. You know, Nello has been quiet because he hasn't had to be involved because MNM have won the vast majority of these rounds. And one of those 2 kills for Nello, it was a round winner. He's done his job, even though the scoreline says 2-4-1 with 2 plants next to it as well. It's looking peachy. In we go then towards Reading and Fireplace. SANDBOX need 3 rounds back-to-back to keep themselves in this series. Otherwise, it's a 2-0 for MNM.
Into the action phase we go. Neo, he's looking to get aggressive with the Auda. Yuzus loses his life immediately to Nova. MNM need to keep it calm, Des. They don't want to get ahead of themselves and start getting aggressive because they've got a few rounds ahead. Because SANDBOX are a team that will punish you, and that is exactly what's happened. Yuzus, Solotov, they are done and dusted inside of the first 30 seconds.
I want to say someone ran out the front door then, and that's why they're dead. It was a smart play from MNM with Neo punching the window above to draw attention there. That someone then runs out the bottom window and kills you. No doubt it was a countdown. It was a bit too clever of a read coming in from SANDBOX. A very smart play on their side to shut down the initial aggression out of MNM. And now the tables have turned. It's a 5 versus 3 for SANDBOX, and they've got a ton of time still to play with, Tim. There is no reason to lose this round. You can take it slow. You can drone things out. You can push as a team and play for trades. That's what I really want to see.
They're going to have to at this point. They were trying to lock down that 4th choice site and move things over to mining, but sometimes it can be good. You get a few points ahead, maybe just take the opportunity to go to that less chosen site and give it a full test drive against a properly competitive Tier 1 team, but it's not panning out for them so far. Tyrant working across the top floor, but with the way MNM are playing, you just wouldn't put it past them to turn this one back around, as you said, Des, to find those couple of picks. He's going to be drawn out, and it's time for Tyrant, I think, to do a disappearing act.
And he is the master of disappearing acts. A couple of these members have been running circles around SANDBOX across both maps. Nello playing on the pulse can of course feed a lot of information back and forth, but Neo gets shut down. Static with a great angle from the outside pulls the juice. Some extra HP for the rest of the team on their push forwards. They've got 70 seconds to play. 5 versus 2. I'll say it again, Tim. Surely they don't lose this one.
I wouldn't have expected so from here. Nello taking damage as well, and SANDBOX showing that they are still alive inside of this one. If they can close this round out, it brings them within 2, and they keep themselves fighting. The problem for them is there's no more mistakes. Nova, he's not making a mistake as he gets in and starts putting that diffuser down. Nello finds one. Can he find a second? No. Shut down from the window. The cover is in place, and Nova's going to give it another try. Tyrant did manage to get one in the mix there. Can't find the man on the window. Does find the drop. 1v2. Surely he can't do this, Des. The diffuser's down. He's looking to find his first. He needs to try and break these down into 2 1v1s. He's super low health. He's just quick peeking it. He's trying to find anything he can. He knows that the man is going left and right. It's ring around the roses here as they just can't find each other. Nova it is who will get the first peak. Shut down Tyrant, and that's going to be SANDBOX keeping themselves fighting, keeping themselves alive here at the Six Invitational.
You know, that was just like, he's not here. He's not here. Where is he? He's like, oh, there he is. It took a little bit of 3 or 4, 5, maybe 6 peaks there between either side before they found each other out. It is a small breath of life for SANDBOX. It did come down to those 2 entry kills coming in onto some very aggressive players out of MNM. I won't be surprised if this round the call is right, boys. No more mucking about. Stay in the building. Let's not go too crazy. Let's get this closed out now, because they'll be lamenting that round. If this goes to overtime and SANDBOX win and we go to Chalet, not only are you handing away at least 1 point, you're also potentially losing the series once we get onto that map.
There's nothing wrong with taking a peek. There's nothing wrong with having that little bit of aggression. MNM playing with confidence, playing with fun, and that's something that's really important for teams here, not just within the game, but within the tournament. You know, the teams that we always seem to do well are the ones that quite often are having fun whilst they do it and keeping that mental up. That's, you know, when you're in those difficult situations later down the line, which will come for MNM when they're behind and they have to try and fight back for a result, having that positive attitude is great, and letting that confidence be a part of your gameplay is fantastic. But like you say, Des, you need to know when to put the brakes on. Right, we've had our 1 round, that's it. We tried a couple, you know, yeah, we might have got away with it. We didn't. You're not going to get away with it against SANDBOX, I'll be honest with you. This is the team that doesn't generally get peaked. It doesn't generally suffer to those sorts of plays. So SANDBOX, they're just waking them up. We're still here, don't you worry. And if you give us an opportunity, we're going to find rounds.
If the teams in their group, it's worth noting for those who are curious, Team Empire, Sonics and NIP. All teams that haven't seen this performance today, I'm starting to think they could bring down some of the big boys. NIP could fall to them. Empire, not looking the strongest yesterday. Sonics equally having a bit of a throw, I think it's fair to say. They were 6-3 up on Oregon, losing it and then losing the next map as well. That's what I was talking about when I said in the last round, you know, it's all good having some fun. Let's not see this one thrown away, because Sonics, they suffered the same fate yesterday of being at match and series point for a 2-0 and then went on to lose the series. Let's not have the same thing happen here.
I really don't want to see it, Des. I said to you coming into the tournament that I'm desperate. You know, I know we have all the sort of fun of the inter-region rivalry, but genuinely, I'm really looking for a strong NA performance here at Invitational. Obviously, we had a good performance out of OxG. We've got TSM today. It's going to be interesting to see them.
Yeah.
SSG beating FaZe, and I'm desperate to see NA show up. You know, jokes aside, I really want to see them get back to, you know, the top of Siege and to be competing as they should be, and I'm hoping that we see some more of that this afternoon.
Everyone wants a balanced competition ultimately where all 4 regions are present, and now APAC is in.
Of it as well.
Now APAC's here to play in 2022. Absolutely, let's see more and more of it. Let's touch on this round though. We're about 75 seconds in and we haven't seen any exchanges between the 2 teams yet. It's been all about that map control, and once again, like clockwork, the 1 minute 40 mark hits. They're getting this floor opened up, so good pace being shown by the side of SANDBOX. They've done that homework, they've done their drone work, and now looking for those vertical angles. C4 comes out, doesn't connect onto anyone, and they'll start trying to clear away these the electrical that's downstairs again. They might even kill it with those 2 on either side. If not, the small amount of damage you get should do enough to blow it off. There we go, it's gone. and now they can get the actual main 4 X-Kairos down onto the hatch and opened up. Before, what you used to have to do, nice C4 coming out, you'd have to open the floor up and roll a grenade through to kill the Electro Claw, but teams have kind of cottoned onto this, hey, Hibana can just to get rid of it by getting open the floor. Now she can use 2, 4, or 6 pellets rather than 6 every single time. It makes a lot of sense to do it that way.
SANDBOX starting to fall into the same problem that they had last time, Des. When they attacked onto Kitchen, they were just sort of losing men along the way. It was 5v4 when they started to open up. It was 5v3 before they pushed onto site, and they just didn't have the manpower to be able to break MNM down, who at that point were able to just hold angles, and that's exactly what we're likely to see this MNM team continue to do now. They're not going to get overly aggressive. Users has got himself a nice little peek in through the bookcase there, just for anybody who tries to push into Bakery, and SANDBOX just seem to have taken a real pause here, Des, but there's only 30 seconds left to go. There's the call, in they come, and it falls apart as Solotov finds 2. Users doesn't even have to pull the trigger. Solotov for 3, Solotov for 4, and MNM for their first victory and 3 points here at Six Invitational 22.
What a statement for the EU qualified team as well. They came in through the open quals, beat down 3 EUL teams, and have come in and won their first international game. And not just won it, Tim, like you say, a 2-0. 3 points in a group where no other team have walked away with 3, and Solotov walks away 16-6. What a performance!
Should not be allowed. Absolutely ridiculous performance from Solotov there. He was absolutely unstoppable. Obviously, the questions for MNM going forward, you know, this is a team we don't know much about at this sort of level of competition. Is he going to be able to sustain that? Are we going to see that out of Solotov? Tyrant Users map after map after map. Is it a one-off? We will find out over the coming days, but I know everybody at home, as much as we and as much as everybody here, are going to be excited to find out.
The same story for SANDBOX, right? They beat down NIP yesterday. They've lost against MNM today. To me, this group is just now stupidly open. You could see the Sonics bounce back. Don't take their defeat yesterday as oh, they're just bad. They were 1 round off winning that series 2-0 as well. Group A is really starting to spice up, and I can't wait to see more games from it tomorrow.
It absolutely is. There's just so many matchups that I want to see now that are just looking so good. MNM versus Empire. I can't wait to see it.
Give me with that one. That'll be again a kind of a war of the slow team in Empire coming up against MNM, who have seen a few difficulties on the clock in this series. Yes, they've won 2-0, but there are always going to be things to work on for both teams, and I hope they get a lot of takeaways from this. I know I would have if I was watching that as one of the other 3 teams in their group.
Absolutely. There's just so much to look forward to. We've got another good couple of games coming on the B stream here today as well. It's just the Six Invitational group stage. You just can't get away from it, can you? It's absolutely fantastic stuff so far.
Best of 3, best of 1. Who cares at that point? We've also got TSM versus Fury later on that you and I are going to cast. TSM haven't played yet. Another team that came in through the quals. I know they're a bit more well-known than MNM, but it could be the rise of, I don't want to say the little guy because TSM are far from little, but there's no doubt going to be more surprises in store. APAC rising, MNM are up there, and TSM wait in the 4th game of the day. We'll go to a break. When we come back, our analysts will break that one down for you a little bit more.